Hi, hello. Welcome back to my witch obsession. If you're seeing this, this will be your horoscope for all 12 rising signs from August 11th through August 17th. As always, timestamps will be in the description box below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the way down there. And if you'd like to consult me for a personal reading, my email and my Etsy will also be down below. That's how you can get into contact with me. Other than that, I will see you at your horoscope. I love you. Honestly, you guys, I kind of feel sometimes like a little awkward coming on here looking unpresentable, but I'm like, it's 3 in the morning. I just finished showering and filming the horoscopes, and I'm so tired, and I still have to stay up to like move stuff, like do the video and like do the timestamps. But anyways, I have not been taking my Mars return very well. For those of you that don't know, I'm a natal Mars in Libra, and this transit has been the most frustrating transit of my entire life, and it just started. And I can already tell I'm gonna hate every second of it, and it's gonna be so annoying. Just thinking about it, I'm like overcome with like dread, and I just want to lay down, and I don't want to deal with it. But we gonna make the best of it. I'm gonna stay up and play video games to keep myself up. And I honestly kind of miss staying up, so I don't know. But this week is just like a very busy week because I work every day because I have 2 jobs and one of them really needed me this week. So I'm gonna work 2 jobs at 2 days at one of my jobs on Monday and Thursday, or Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm working at my other job, and it's just like, ugh, I just don't want to do any of that. But good thing is I'm gonna get paid, so, and I got some stuffs, and I wanted to show you guys, but actually, I'll show you the stuff first, because the stuff I wanted to talk about was a little bit heavier, or it was more like personal, so let me start with the more lighthearted stuff to kind of like ease us into it. So the first thing I got was, I spent a lot of money on this. It was for my friend's gift because she just got back from Mexico today and I didn't have the gift, so I literally ran to Sephora today to get it. But I got her this. This is that Gucci perfume I was telling y'all about a few videos ago. It's the purple one, Gorgeous Magnolia. And I got the 1.6 ounce. I honestly debated on just spending like $30 more and getting like the 3.3 ounce, but I was like, no, I don't want to spend the extra $30, and she'll be mad at me enough that I spent so much money on her. But yeah, I got her this, and I have some other stuff in this bag, not from today, but you know, I got her the socks, I got her this clip, and I got her favorite lip gloss in the shade that she thought was discontinued. So that's the little ensemble I have here. I think that's enough for me. So I'm satisfied, and I can't wait to give it to her. And I got her mom some soaps from Bath and Body Works, and her mom is like she's big on themes and like holidays, so I got her a bunch of fall scented ones to get her kick-started for September and like October coming up. So hopefully that'll get everyone in like the Halloween mood, and I decorated the apartment a little bit Halloween. I saw a Scooby-Doo plushie at Marshall's and I bought it. It's in the other room, and I'm not gonna get up and go get it, but it's a Scooby-Doo plushie. And I also got some more books. Honestly, I so badly want to believe that reading is like a phase right now, and I've just been genuinely finding pleasure in reading as like a form of escape, because it feels very non-committal in the sense that I'm able to like lean into other people's lives without having to actually go through the effort, because I've been realizing lately that I'm just not very good at being in relationships. Like I don't understand relationships. I really don't. And I don't mean that in like a bad way, but sometimes, and I was just thinking about this because I have gotten comments throughout my like just like doing YouTube where people will be like, oh, like what about people who are in relationships and whatnot, or like, you know, like more like love readings. And like I like doing that for tarot, but not necessarily with astrology sometimes, because I don't know how to not be alone. And, you know, like some of the stuff that I say on here on YouTube and like these intros, I would probably never say to one of my friends. Like they could watch the video and I wouldn't care. But it's like, I just really struggle with that level of intimacy where I just open up and give info about myself just like without being asked. And it's not like I do it on like, it's not that I do it like on purpose. It's just that when I'm usually around people, like I'm around a lot of yappers and I don't mind it. It's just like my friends, they are always talking about themselves. They're always talking about themselves, their experiences, what they've gone through, their day and whatnot. And, you know, like a part of me enables that because I'll ask them questions, but it's like, I don't really know openings to talk about myself. And I feel like when I talk about myself, like, I feel like my friends don't really give me the same reaction and the same attention that I give them when they talk about themselves. I feel like they're not as detail oriented when it comes to me, and sometimes I just don't like it because it leaves me feeling kind of empty or like unfulfilled. So I just like don't, you know, like I don't have the conversation at all. But I remember one time my friend was like, yeah, like I feel like I just don't know that much about you because you don't really talk about yourself. And you know, because that just like made me think a lot because I'm like, well, I don't really know how to do that. You know, I grew up my whole life just not being asked questions and people not being curious about me. So I use social media as an outlet, and because of that, I just like don't really know how to open up to people in like a real life setting. And it's like I'll like harvest the details of people's lives and I know so much about them, but I guess that's why reading has been such a nice escape from me because it feels like I'm enriching myself and I'm able to like spend time with myself. It feels very like quality time and it just feels nice. I don't know. But I don't know. I just like I hate to think that some of my friends will watch this video or like these videos and be like, "Oh, like I don't know." Like I feel like if I told my friends how I feel sometimes, like they would get like agitated. And like even here, like sometimes I don't like talking about how I feel a certain way because I feel like people want to pity me or people want to give me like, you know, like points or something. I don't know. But yeah, like even just like I've just been feeling really frustrated and like irritable lately, and it's just like I want like intimacy in my life and I want to like intimately connect with people and feel closer to people or like people close. Like I know how to feel close to people and make people feel like I'm close to them, but like when it comes to people feeling close to me, I always feel distant. Like I always feel like there's like a major disconnect because none of these people know where I went to high school. None of these people know what middle school I went to. Like people don't ask me questions about that. People don't care. People don't just like they don't. It's not their problem, and I don't know. Like I'm kind of throwing a fit about it because I'm just like just thinking about it like really like irritates me, you know, because I feel like I'm very forthcoming, but it's just like if you don't ask me, I'm not gonna just tell you, you know. But yeah, and sometimes it just makes me feel like a little bit suffocated, and it's like I want to spend time with my friends because I am curious about them and I love spending time with them, but like it makes me feel very like engrossed and invested in their life and like not my own, and it just like it's a little bit tiring. But obviously it's because I also don't know how to exert myself in that way because I was never taught to do that. I was just taught to like be like a skeleton, but like I do have like a rich inner world, and I feel like reading has really brought that out of me. Anyways, that was kind of part of what I was saying about it being like a little bit deeper. But this has been my stack recently. I bought some new books and I will show you them. I kind of just want to go through them one by one. Actually, here. The books that I bought, I got Veronica Decides to Die by Paulo Coelho. I really love The Alchemist, you all. So I decided to get this book because I saw the other books that he had written and they were either in a different language or they didn't seem as... They didn't have that same pull and allure that The Alchemist did, I'm not gonna lie. Excuse me. And I just feel like this book was the most interesting. I feel like I read the description and it kind of reminds me of the Midnight Library that I showed in my video. And so I was just like, I feel like if it could be anywhere near that, I'll really enjoy this experience. The next book I got was this book. This is Korean Stories for Language Learners. So it's like Korean folktales and like pronunciations and like literally just like there's translations. So I've been really wanting to get better at learning Korean and speaking, reading and writing it. and I just been wanting to connect with more that part of myself, especially because growing up my parents didn't really involve me in their life. So because of that, I feel like I'm very out of touch with my culture, and I've been trying to get back into it very slowly, but I've been trying to do it more so by speaking and understanding it, and also, you know, cooking, because those are my strengths. Like, I feel like I already have a good palate for Korean food and like what's good and what's not good. Like, I feel like I have a clue, and I feel like I also can speak and understand it pretty well. So that's because I've been wanting to start there, because those are my strengths. And it's funny because like even at my job, sometimes Korean people will come up to me and I'll talk to them in Korean, and it's just like, it feels good because they'll be like, oh, like your Korean's really good, or like, you know, they'll talk to me with respect and they won't be rude to me like other Koreans have been. So it's been really nice in that I feel comfortable. And another book that I got, I feel like everyone's been talking about this. This is The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. I've been seeing this book all over the place, and apparently it's very good for people who want to be creative, you know, like do stuff like this. But sorry, I think that was a card, but I just heard really good things about this. It's been like about like it's like a spiritually informed way of being creative and doing things that you enjoy. So yeah, I'm just really curious about this one. So let me see. The books I've been currently reading, aside from those, the Book of Pluto, of course, I have a feeling I will take forever to finish this book, because I literally read like 1 or 2 pages and I'm like, I'm bored. I want to read another book. So I've been reading this book, Dear Girls by Ali Wong. For those of you that don't know, Ali Wong is this stand-up comedian, and I freaking love her. I need to watch her new special, but Always Be My Maybe is my favorite movie of all time. And I just love Ali Wong, and I just love how she talks about like her experiences as like an Asian person. It's just so nice. And I've actually had this book for a really long time. I just never got around to reading it because the language is just very, like, it's very jam-packed and it's very intimate. And there's a level of it that I don't really understand, because this book is basically a compilation of letters dedicated to her daughters. And because of that, it sometimes feels like I shouldn't be reading it low-key, but it's like I am reading it. But yeah, I really appreciate this book, and I told my mom, like, oh, like, I hope you'll open up to me like this one day, you know, where you'll write letters to me and tell me about your story. But yeah, I'm about halfway through it. So, or like a little bit over halfway through it. I have like maybe like 100 pages left, and I'll probably finish it. And I'm really excited to finish it. And I have a feeling I'll reread this book a few times at some point. And then the book I've been rereading, this is a book I've been, oh my gosh, you guys. This is What If You and Me by Roni Lauren. After reading Know It For You, here, let me show you, because I completely forgot to tell you. Okay. So this is also by her, and I just finished this the other day, and it was so good. I love Roni Lauren, easily one of my favorite romance novelists, and I hope that she contributes more to this series of like, and whatever, I don't, like, what do you call it? But What If You and Me is probably my favorite out of the entire series, because I love the character. His name's Hill, and he's like the protagonist Boothang, and I'm like, the way the book be talking about how I'm like, I know Hill's like my dream man. Like, I know he's like that one, you know, like, I don't know. I love them so much. And the protagonist, her name's Andrea, and she goes by Andy, and she is like this redheaded horror novelist. And I don't know, I'm a little bit of an op when it comes to people who create horror content, because I'm like, why does your brain create stuff like that? But also, it's not for me to understand. So I try to stay hush-hush about it, but there's just times where I feel like criticism and like opinions are valid, and that is a point where I feel justified in saying that I cannot believe you write that, and I cannot believe people consume that. But I set that all aside for this book because I love her so much. But yeah, I just love this series, and I'm so excited to get to like the juicy parts of this book. I just started it again, and I'm only a little bit ways through. But anyways, aside from that, I have been thinking lately about relationships, because Saturn's gonna move back into Pisces next month, and it's gonna square my natal Saturn, and I'm not excited for that because last time that happened, like a month or two ago, it was horrendous. I felt terrible, and I'm just not looking forward to it because I do struggle a lot with self-worth and like intimacy within my interpersonal connections. Like there is a part of me that in some way, shape, or form just doesn't feel good enough for relationships altogether, like friendships alike. It's just like I don't know how, I don't know what to do. I don't know what you want from me. I don't know what to give you. I try my best, and I feel like a lot of people will say like, "Oh, like you're such a great friend, or you're such a good boyfriend, you're such a good roommate, you're such a good this," you know? And I'm like I don't know why people like when people say that to me, it feels good, you know? Like it feels good to be told like you're a good person. But like genuinely, I'm like, what is it like out here? You know, like why do people treat each other bad? You know, like why do you accept that? Why do you give that? And I don't know. I feel like I take my relationships very seriously, but at the same time, like I'm like very intolerant in the sense that like if I feel very threatened with like my liberty and whatnot, like I leave. I don't know. I leave. I leave people. It doesn't feel hard. It doesn't feel hard to leave people at all. If someone treats me bad, I'm just like, there's no reason for this person to be in my life anymore, you know? And it's like, I don't really like giving out chances. I don't really like forgiving people. I just don't like it. And I feel like it's a one-way ticket to enabling somebody's disgusting and terrible behavior. And that's been a lot of my exes, you know, where I let something pass and they continue to do it. And it's just like, dude, like you're a grown-up and you are aware of the decisions that you're making. You shouldn't, do you see? I don't know. I can't. And I get very frustrated because it's just like I hate like there are certain times where like lines will be crossed and I don't tolerate it. And I leave people and I it's very sad because I feel like there's a lot of times where I could have just forgiven people and kept the relationship going, but to me that's just if you do something that's just so rude and disgusting to me, I don't know why I would be around that. And I do fear the day that I have a partner because I don't feel like I have deal breakers in mind, but if there is a certain point where I feel a certain way because of a person, I never want to feel that again. And I don't want to be around the thing that caused me to feel that way. If I must, I will. But if I have a choice not to, I'm not going to, you know? I don't know, y'all. And it just, I've never felt attached. I feel like my relationships live on when I'm not around them. And I feel like that's so like 12th house because like my 7th house rule is in the 12th house. Like I feel like people feel me so strongly when I'm not there. And it's kind of frustrating, but also very like interesting, you know, where it's like when I'm not around, I feel like people like will communicate to me. I don't know. I feel like I'm like being crazy, but you know, like I genuinely feel like people send me signs and people try to talk to me even though like I'm not in contact with them versus when I am in contact with them, like they just like don't talk to me and it's just like very irritating. Like am I not a real person? Apparently not, but yeah, that's just kind of like my spiel, and I hope you guys understand what I mean because I genuinely just get so frustrated by people staying with people who treat them bad. I I understand because you know it's like all you know, but it's I hate being uncomfortable, and I feel like especially at the hands of another person. I tolerated that so much growing up with my family and like my brother treating me badly, bullying me and saying stuff to me about my body, about my skin, about my goals, about what I want to do. And it made me really insecure and it made me very agitated and very resentful, especially towards men because I just like feel very like irritable when I get more intimate with men because more often than not like people will be jealous of me and I'm like I don't know why you're jealous of me. I don't know like why you don't use jealousy as a means to inspire yourself to do better and to want to be around another person, but instead you decide to try and like put me down. I don't know. That's just like so my brother where he was just my op for absolutely zero reason. And his birthday's coming up this month and I don't even want to talk to him, but like I know I'll lose points if I don't say happy birthday to him. So I'll try my best to not get into an argument with him. He's like the one person who can bring out a very nasty side of me. But anyways, that's all I have for today. I know today is lecture. Today's ramble is like a little bit like temperamental, but like I'm telling you guys, like I've been so frustrated and so angry these past few days, and I've just been in a terrible mood. And the only thing that decompresses me is sleeping, eating, and reading. Taurus moon. But anyways, comment the rose emoji if you finish today's ramble. I will see you at your horoscope. Thank you so much for listening. I love you. Okay, starting out with Sagittarius rising. So hello, Sagittarius rising. If you're seeing this, this will be your horoscope for August 11th through August 17th. And honestly, Sag, I feel like this week is a lot about just coming down from the full moon and all of the awkward aspects that happened in the past week. Because the start of the week, the moon's moving through Pisces. So I have a feeling a lot of Sag risings are going to start this week just wanting to stay home, be comfortable. And with the trines to Venus and Jupiter, I feel like this is actually a really colorful aspect because Venus and Jupiter will be moving side by side throughout the course of this week. So it'll exact on 11th the actual conjunction, but then they will continue to move together throughout the course of this week. So with the trine from the moon in Pisces, I feel like this could be a lot of stuff going on with your home. Maybe there's some kind of money coming through from a family member, since planets are in your 8th house and Venus rules your 6th and your 11th. This could be some kind of like beneficiary coming through. So it could really be a numerous amount of things, to be honest, but a few examples could be some kind of a payout, maybe, because it's an 8th house theme too, so maybe there's a family member who's sick or they're not doing well, or, you know, they're recovering from something, or maybe there's something about insurance, maybe there's something about like taxes, and then you get some kind of like a write-off, or, you know, money matter comes through that way, and someone gets like disability, or someone gets like a check from, you know, like I said, insurance. So for a lot of you, you could be receiving some kind of money from a family member. It will just kind of have that at a cost kind of energy to it. Not that for any of you it could be bad, or it could be something negative coming through and then something good coming through. For those of you, that's very much a possibility, and you would probably know if that's the case. But for others of you, it just seems like something about the family and money's coming through. But on the other end of things, this is also a very emotional transit. So for a lot of you, you could be very curious about something about heritage and roots in your family. Cancer makes me think of the past, and then the moon's in the 4th house, which is also associated with the past. So a lot of you could be having sort of like a reminiscing energy about the past, about things that have already happened. And overall, I just feel like a lot of you will just be wanting to stay home, decorate, be comfortable. And maybe for others of you, this could also be something about your health and your well-being. Jupiter rules your first house, which is your body, and then Venus rules your 6th house, which is the house of habits. So I almost wonder, and in the 8th house, it makes me think of like, you know, your reproductive organs. But for others of you, this could just be that a lot of you are getting a lot more deeply connected to your well-being, your body, and your relationship with it, and grounding yourself more. And since Venus rules your 11th house, I almost wonder if some of you are getting together with some kind of a group or some kind of gathering, other people in some way, shape, or form. And then the moon moves through Aries in the middle of the week, and it will come into a conjunction with Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron, and I feel like this is going to be like awkward. The middle of the week definitely seems a little bit uncomfortable. The nice thing is that the moon will be trining. All of this is trining your ascendant. It's just that the moon will oppose Mars. So whatever came up last week about romantic relationships, friend groups, social circles, beliefs and dreams versus your own beliefs and dreams, you know, like what you want versus what society wants for you, or what you want versus what your group of friends wants, you know. And a lot of you could be feeling a little bit restricted or a little bit held back in your creative expression because of some kind of obligation. And I kind of feel like because of this, maybe the middle of the week, a lot of you will be presented with some kind of a snag because you're trying to get together with something, with having fun, enjoying yourself, doing things that you like. And I almost wonder if with Saturn and Neptune in the mix, a lot of you are just getting very serious about it, getting very serious about having fun and enjoying yourself. And maybe with Neptune ruling your 4th, this could be related to obligations and responsibilities at home and building your routine revolving around your home life and your family. And for others of you, this could involve something about a body of water. So maybe some of you are going out with friends to like a beach or like a, like a pool, or maybe some of you are traveling abroad. I definitely feel like a lot of Sagittariuses are also moving around great distances because Mercury is still retrograde in your 9th house, but Mercury will station direct right on the 11th. So right when the Venus and Jupiter conjunction exacts, we will also see Mercury station direct. So a lot of you could be seeing some kind of significant movement with payouts from legal matters, with school, and maybe for others of you, this is about travel matters. And maybe for others of you, you're trying to sort out a travel plan. So if you've been traveling, this is you coming back. If you have been planning to travel, this will definitely signify some kind of forward momentum in that, where you are finally making something happen. And because Mercury also rules your 10th house and your 7th house, this could also be about long distance relationships, getting more in touch with people who are very far away from you, maybe aunts, uncles, in-laws, or just people, extended family. And maybe this is like, if they've been planning to visit, this is them visiting. If they've been planning to leave, this is them leaving. And with the rulership over your 10th house, this could also be for some of you educational pursuits regarding your career and trying to hone your abilities in some way, shape, or form. So definitely something like that could be coming through. And at the end of the week, we see the moon moving through Taurus, like maybe Friday, Wednesday, and the moon will be moving through your 6th house. So I definitely feel like there's something going on here when it comes to your routines. I feel like this could be something about your, like I said, reproductive organs, because the ruler Venus is in your 8th house. But for others of you, I also feel like this could be stuff revolving around coworkers. This could be something about a work situation. I definitely feel like with the Venus and Jupiter conjunction, maybe some of you are getting deeper relationships with coworkers or someone that you work with, or maybe some of you are getting more serious about services and products that you offer, especially if you do run a business. I think that if you run a business or if you own something like that, this week will definitely present some kind of news revolving around that, especially when it comes to the financial aspect of it, but also the routine aspect of it. So there could definitely be something going on with, like, Taurus makes me think of comfort, and then with Venus and Jupiter in Cancer makes me think of comfort as well. So maybe for some of you, like if you have like a working space, you're making efforts to make it a little bit more comfortable, more enjoyable to be in. And I would imagine that maybe a boss is trying to take care of you, nurture you. So maybe higher ups or people that you work with are looking to take care of you or assist you in some way, or get closer to you, or be more considerate and be more just emotional, in the sense that they want to get to know you more. But overall, Sagittarius, I feel like this week is sorting out a lot of money stuff, sorting out things of having fun and trying to make time for enjoyment and pleasure. And I also feel like there's an undercurrent here when it comes to deeper emotions, especially as it relates to your family, your heritage, like I said, but also something about ancestors. But for others of you, this could also just be extended family members. I'm so excited for Mercury to go direct, y'all. Oh my gosh. Anyways, let me pull a card for you and see what comes out. I don't know why, but I got up like an hour ago and my voice hurts so bad right now. Anyways, let's see. Let's take this one. For you, we have the 3 of Cups. Yeah, definitely. I feel like Venus and Jupiter riding side by side in your 8th house definitely signifies that there is something about a friend group. It's something about people that you hang out with. Maybe this is you getting closer to a coworker. Maybe this is you spending time with a coworker outside of work. Maybe this is you work with a friend. Maybe this could also just be that you are having a night out with your friends, those that you love and care about. This could also be celebration of something. I definitely think that with Mercury stationing direct in your 9th house, maybe there is some energy coming towards you when it comes to, accomplishments and goals of educational pursuits. But overall, I just kind of feel like something good's coming through this week, and it's causing for celebration. It's causing for some kind of enjoyment, some kind of like, okay, y'all, like it's time to, do this because like this came through. So if you know what I mean. But overall, Sagittarius, I just feel like this week for you will be pretty fun, or there will be a lot of moments where you are enjoying yourself, despite the fact that there may be some obligations and some routines and habits that you're having to tend to and keep discipline on. But overall, I just kind of feel like there will be this energy of spending time with people that you really care about and enjoying yourself. Anyways, that's all I have for you, Sagittarius. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated. And if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye. All right, now moving on to Aries rising. So hello, Aries rising. If you are seeing this, this will be your horoscope for August 11th through August 17th. And honestly, Aries, I feel like a lot of last week for you was what happened, and then this week for you is about how you feel about what happened. So definitely take the time to process things this week and know that the energy is working in favor for you doing that. Because we start out with the week with the moon in Pisces, and it will come into a trine with Venus and Jupiter, who are moving side by side in your 4th house throughout the course of this week. And there's definitely a lot of things going on in your home and your family. Somebody could be getting married, maybe there's celebration, maybe there's in-laws coming to visit, maybe you're traveling, maybe someone's traveling to come visit you, maybe you're moving long distances. Venus rules your 2nd house as well as your 7th house, so maybe some of you are making deals for property affairs, maybe some of you are trying to buy land, maybe there is something of a woman in your family, or even just like an in-law period trying to buy land, and maybe there is just some kind of like a financial exchange going on. A lot of you could be also receiving some kind of benefit from like a school, or maybe some of you are just seeing people being very generous of you. Maybe this is a family member wiring you some money. So a lot of things could be coming through this week, but I definitely feel like that's kind of the vibe of it, where there is something going on with your emotional attachments and how it is benefiting you and bringing some merit to your life. And a lot of you could just be learning something. I feel like with Jupiter ruling over your 9th house, there's definitely a vibe of like a foreign concept coming through, or something that you are not familiar with being in your home, whether it just be like a random item, an artifact, or whether it be a family member who is coming to visit you and stay with you. So a lot of you could be dealing with something like that, and it's the best way to say it. I really like this transit, and you're definitely going to feel it, especially if you are anywhere between 0 to 10 degrees, or 10 to 20 degrees of Aries rising, because it will be squaring your ascendant. So I think that this will be bringing some kind of news to you, or some kind of like, there's obvious changes going on in your home. And the moon will then move through Aries, your sign, in the middle of the week. And this is where I feel like a lot of you will be kind of like, okay, well, what happened last week and how do I feel about it? So the moon will join up with Saturn and Neptune and Chiron and oppose Mars, but also trine planets in your 5th house, namely Mercury and the Sun. Mercury, who has stationed direct by this point in your 5th house. So less constrictions and less irritability when it comes to dealings with children, and also things revolving around creative activities, your self-expression, what you believe in. And how this sort of ties into your career, your work, and your spiritual work on yourself, especially when it comes to your spiritual goals and ambitions. And if that not be the case, a lot of you could also be dabbling into something with, you know, your designated belief and faith. But I also feel like this could definitely involve your relationships. I think that with Mars in your 7th house, a lot of you are going back and forth within your interpersonal relationships, and how this relates to things revolving around legal matters and just other people in general. So you may find that other people in some way, shape, or form are being restricting towards you, or you may find that you yourself are being restricting towards others. So there could definitely be something going on around here, and I would just take your time and know that there is maybe some frustration coming through. So it's like, I don't know, like your partner last week tells you like, hey, like, I don't like when you go out late. And then like, you're kind of like, okay. And then this week comes by and you're like, wait, what did you say to me? I'll do whatever I want to do. And this is not a vibe. I want to go out late because that's my vibe. So, or maybe it's like, oh, you know, we're going to move you from this sector to this sector in terms of like your career or whatnot. And then last week you're kind of like throwing a fit about it and you're like, I hate it here. I hate this job. And then this week you get on with it and you're like, okay, this is not as bad as I thought it would be. I don't know why I was tweaking about it. So you may notice that a lot of the issues or the outcomes that you were wrestling with last week are sort of evening out this week in the sense that you're actually putting your emotions into it and you're deciding to feel it through and see what's working for you versus what is not working for you. Especially since with that full moon in your 11th house, a lot of you have had some reveals when it comes to where you're going right now or what your path is looking like. So I feel like this week for you, it's just you kind of sorting that out and be like, okay, now that I know where things are heading, or now that I know what the forecast looks like, I want to make sure that I align my goals with that accordingly, especially when it comes to the people that you are around, working with, and associating with, especially if you do work with children or if you work in some kind of like a service or like a health situation with Mercury being in your 5th. But I definitely think that some of you could also be receiving some kind of recognition or award at work. I feel like with Mercury retrograde in your 5th, finally stationing direct, maybe a lot of you have dealt with some kind of delays at work or delays of communications because of a 5th house theme. So it's like maybe like, oh, I wanted to go out and have fun. So because of that, my work schedule is like kind of messed up because, you know, my sleep schedule or whatnot. But this could also be something going on where your kids are getting in the way if you have any. But for others of you, I kind of feel like this could be something going on when it comes to creativity, making more time to do things that you enjoy. And maybe some of you have picked up a new hobby or some kind of new experience or way of enjoying yourself throughout this Mercury retrograde. So whatever you've learned throughout this retrograde, I definitely feels like it entails how you exert yourself or what your ego is and how you believe yourself, like your self-perception. But anyways, the moon will then move through Taurus in the sort of the second half of the week. And I really like this transit for you because it will be trining the south node. So I feel like a lot of you could be paying off something, or there could be just some kind of like a benefit come through financially, especially because Mars also rules your 8th house. Now that's in your 7th house. A lot of you could be applying for stuff or maybe going through with something that allows you to pay off a debt. I think that when the moon moves through Taurus in the second half of the week, and with Venus and Jupiter moving side by side in your 4th house, a lot of you could be just investing money into your home, making it more comfortable, making it more luxurious, eating good food. I definitely feel like the second half of the week, think like Thursday, maybe early Friday, just a really nice time to stay in and cook yourself a nice meal and decompress, because I feel like the first half of the week will be kind of like a roller coaster in the sense that you're kind of having to tend to multiple things at one time and adjusting to whatever has changed within your social circles, within your career, your work, and what is expected of you from the people around you. But I definitely see that a lot of you are getting some kind of like a benefit coming through, or even some kind of sponsorship where something is coming through to give you a good thing, whether it just be a load of money, it could just be some nice piece of decor for your room, maybe like someone's bringing you a souvenir from foreign lands and whatnot, maybe you're bringing souvenirs from foreign lands. So whatever is just kind of coming through here, I feel like this week will be pretty pleasant for you, Aries. I'm not going to say it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows, but I will say that it will be a lot less uncomfortable than last week. Just make sure that you know that this week, whenever you feel things and how you're perceiving things, it comes back to your emotional body, because the difficult part of it is pretty much over for now, and you have a little bit of time to kind of get a heads up before things get to move on, because I think that next month will be a lot more active for you than this month. And I feel like this week for you is just like a very good time to take gauge and breathe a little bit, especially if you've been feeling overwhelmed. Let's see what card comes out for you. For you, we have the Four of Cups. Definitely, I feel like this is such a relevant card because the Four of Cups makes me think of thinking. It just makes me think of pondering. It makes me think of like, like, do I want this? So a lot of you could be receiving an offering this week, or maybe you're stuck between a bunch of opportunities and options that you can take right now. Maybe you're kind of uncertain about what you want to do next, but I definitely feel like, Aries, this week, take your time when making decisions, because it seems like whatever you decide on around this time will be a big commitment, or it will be something that you have to continuously work on for a good amount of time now. And that's definitely just because the moon's going to be tangled up with Saturn. So it's like the emotional commitments you make this week may feel a little bit heavy, and maybe because of the sheer amount of commitment, it feels like a little bit like, ooh, like what do I do? But with all being said, take your time and your intuition will reveal everything you need to know. Anyways, that's all I have for you, Aries. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated. And if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye. Okay, now moving on to Taurus rising. So hello, Taurus rising. If you are seeing this, this will be your horoscope for August 11th through August 17th. I'll be chewing on some gum, so don't mind that. But honestly, Taurus, I feel like you have a very fortuitous week ahead of you because we have Venus moving in tandem with Jupiter pretty much the entire week, but the conjunction will exact on the 11th. And I feel like because this is taking place in your third house, this is a pleasant conversation or some kind of an exchange, and maybe even good fortune when it comes to financial stuff because Jupiter rules your 8th house. So I almost wonder if this is like some kind of financial windfall coming through. Maybe someone's sponsoring you or helping you. Venus makes me think of your 6th house, so maybe this is like a work matter. Interestingly enough, I almost wonder if this is your job providing you a laptop, a car, or some really bougie piece of technology in order to assist you or help you do your work in some way. But this could also just be some kind of benefit coming through from like a work-related matter. So I almost wonder, especially with Mars now in your 6th house, there's probably a lot of action being exerted into your routine and your day-to-day life and schedule. And I anticipate this will be the case for a lot of you for a pretty long time now. So there's always going to be some kind of like 6th house action coming through for a lot of you for these next few months. So I would definitely take into consideration, you know, like taking your time and experimenting and being adventurous. Don't be too quick to settle down with a routine this week or from here on out. But anyways, this could also be a pleasant conversation, like I said, maybe a very deep, very intimate conversation with a woman. Especially there will be a highlight on like aunts, sisters, siblings, and also just like immediate family in general, or maybe even people that you live with. Nice thing is that Mercury will finally station direct this week at the same time that this conjunction exacts. So I definitely feel like if you've been dealing with some difficult conversations or issues with a family member, or if there's been like stuff with like contracting, mortgages, payments going through, and then like being denied and stuff like that, I would imagine that especially with the Mars and the Saturn opposition, maybe some of you have dealt with some kind of like a snag within your schedule and within stuff revolving around legal matters, and maybe even just for some of you, just like your day-to-day routine and travel plans. And there will definitely be an emphasis on your friend groups this week because the moon will start out in Pisces and it will trine this conjunction in your 3rd. So I feel like the beginning of the week, a lot of you are just feeling especially chatty, talking to people, you know, getting down and, you know, just, you know, it makes me think of like apps, it makes me think of conversations, it makes me think of the internet, it makes me think of talking to a neighbor, it makes me think of stuff coming through. Maybe there's like a neighbor who is having family visiting, maybe, you know, this is family living close to you, moving near you. Maybe for others of you, this is you moving somewhere else and closer to your family. But overall, there will definitely be some kind of like a celebration or some kind of rejoicement in the neighborhood, and especially as it relates to your mother, because that's Cancer. And when the moon trines it from the 11th house, like I almost wonder if your neighbors are hosting a get-together, a party of sorts, and it will probably be very like deep and very meaningful. Jupiter makes me think of like foreign concepts, so maybe you have like foreign neighbors and they're like hosting stuff, or like maybe you're having foreigners come into your place in order to like throw a party or some kind of gathering. But again, this could also just be going out with friends for like a sassy brunch or something like that. And I definitely feel like with Mars in the 6th, it makes me think of like workout dates. So maybe some of you are working out with people, you know, going on like gym dates. Maybe some of you are meeting people through your work situation. And for others of you, you could be consulting someone, or somebody can be consulting you for some kind of service. And maybe it is related to the home, or maybe even for some of you related to beauty. And the moon will move through Aries in the middle of the week. So think like what? Tuesday, Wednesday, early Thursday, the awkward time of the week because the moon will move through your 12th house. It will join up with Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, and oppose Mars. So middle of the week, some of you could be feeling like you're stuck with your routine, or like you're very busy, you're getting a lot of stuff done. And I feel like this will definitely reveal to you, because I said this to Aries, and I'll probably continue to say this for the rest of the zodiac signs, but I feel like the opposition last week between Mars and Saturn definitely brought upon something when it comes to your routine. And then this week is you testing out the waters of how you feel about it. So it's like you knew that this week was coming towards you, but now you're actually going through the motions and seeing how you feel, what works for you, and maybe testing something out, experimenting. And with Venus in your third house and Venus being the ruler of your sixth house, maybe this has to do with your schedule, who works when, and maybe for some of you, this is like working from home, maybe working remote. But for others of you, it could be like the flip end of the script where you've been working from home and remote, and then this is you actually going in for your shifts now. But I definitely feel like there could be anger coming up, or like frustration, or there could just be a lot of energy that you're exerting. So a lot of you could be feeling like very lethargic and fatigued. And then if that's not the case, the others of you could just be feeling like very tired, or excuse me, very like energetic. So I definitely feel like energy management will be very crucial this week. So it's important to recognize when you need to be doing something and getting that inertia versus when you just need to like take a second and rest a little bit. Because there could be a tendency to do too much, but also a tendency to do too little. And I definitely feel like with Mars in the sixth house, this kind of adds an impatient energy. So a lot of you could be feeling like, I want to get stuff done as quickly as possible, but there are delays being imposed on you, especially with Mercury stationing direct just this week. So it could be that a lot of your energy is having to go towards your home and your family situation. And, you know, with your sun, the fourth house ruler also being in the fourth house, like, I definitely feel like this could be related to like children, but this could also just be, you know, like you're very busy, and Mercury also rules your second house, and maybe this has to do something with like the financing of it, and maybe even your values and what you believe in. And then the moon moves through your first house near the second half of the week. Think like Thursday, Friday, which is a really nice energy, Taurus. You know, I just love when the moon moves through Taurus. The moon will come into a square with Pluto, so maybe there's something going on with like your status, your career, and whatnot. But overall, Taurus, I feel like this week for you will definitely be very pleasant. There are people who are willing to communicate and work with you and assist you. And I just feel like that's so Venus conjunct Jupiter. A lot of you, this is like such a great week to learn something, take a local class, or try a new spot in town. Like if there's something opening up in your neighborhood, you know, go try it. Or maybe there is just like an event coming to you. Maybe there's like a fair going on. Maybe there is just like people coming towards you, wanting to assist you. Maybe this is like seeing stuff on the internet, flyers and whatnot. I definitely feel like a lot of you could be feeling like overwhelmed because it's like you have responsibilities, but at the same time there's so many things that you want to do and try. So I think that this week will definitely require some kind of intuitive process where you're planning out schedules and making sure that everything fits perfectly, especially now that Mercury has stationed direct. So I think that a lot of you are kind of like all hands on deck when it comes to stuff revolving around the home and your routines in it. This one. So for you, we have the Six of Wands. Very lovely card. I really like the Six of Wands because I feel like it's just one of those cards where it's like, yes, like that worked. Let's get on to the next thing, you know? And I feel like the Six of Wands is just showing that it, to me, thinks of victory. It makes me think of recognition, validation. So a lot of you could be receiving some kind of recognition for your knowledge, what you're capable of, your skill sets. And I think that with Mars in your sixth house now, maybe it's a lot of you, you know, like focusing on praise, being admired, and people are, you know, like wanting to give you attention for the things that you can do. And, you know, I feel like there's like a double-edged sword to this where maybe like there's just people who have very strong opinions on you. People who like you will really like you. People who don't like you will just really not like you. So at that point, it's really up to you on what you decide to give your energy to. But I can definitely tell that some kind of victory or something is kind of teetering in your favor this week, and something good is coming through to give you merit, some kind of windfall, and maybe even just a good friend, conversation, or even like a sum of money. Anyways, that's all I have for you, Taurus. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you next week's horoscope. Bye. All right, now moving on to Gemini rising. So hello, Gemini rising. If you're seeing this, this will be your horoscope for August 11th through August 17th. And honestly, Gemini, I really like this week for you. Pardon me if you hear me chewing my gum, but I really like this week because we will see Mercury, your chart ruler, finally stationed direct in your third house. Girl, I feel like a lot of Gemini risings have been going through it, but more so in a way where you just feel like you slipped on a banana peel and like just calamity has been going on. So I feel like this week for you will definitely, you'll see things coming through of communication, easier time talking to people, especially like housemates, people you live with, your family. I also feel like this could be news coming through from like applications. So if a select few of you have been applying for stuff, especially like homes or like leases, or you're just trying to get something worked out in that sector of your life, I definitely think that Mercury going direct here will be something coming through with that. And I feel like with Mercury almost coming into an opposition with Pluto, maybe y'all have been like very anxious to receive this news. So I definitely think that you'll kind of, how do I say, you'll get in by through the skin of your teeth. There we go. And in your third house as well, I also think that this could be a good time to focus on things revolving around cars, vehicles, technology, especially if you've been wanting to get something fixed or serviced. I think that Mercury stationing direct here is just like a very good time to get something like that sorted out. So definitely take your time with that and get back to the logistics. I think that with the sun illuminating your third house, there is definitely a huge emphasis on communication and speaking to people around this time. Another highlight of the week is Venus and Jupiter riding side by side in your second house. The aspect, the conjunction exacts on the 11th, but you will see them ride continuously together throughout the course of this week. Venus rules your 5th house as well as your 12th house, and Jupiter rules your 7th house. So this is very spiritual. I feel like a lot of you could be learning something new from another person, or it could be that a lot of people are wanting to flock to you for your wisdom, or it could be that somebody's teaching you something. And Cancer is the home, it's the mother. So maybe some of you are receiving some kind of like a financial benefit from a mother. This could be for a lot of you just like gaining money. Maybe this could be all going on a shopping spree. I definitely feel like with Venus ruling your 5th house and Mars being in the 5th house, a lot of you are concerned with having fun. And with Mars ruling your 11th house, I think that this is like wanting to go out, wanting to spend time with your friends, your loved ones, people you like. And, with this conjunction, it could be that like y'all are spending a lot more than you would have originally anticipated. So if you're not wanting to break your bank, this is definitely one week where you want to keep an eye on those numbers and make sure that you're not, allowing cash to flow too quickly, because you might find that you're like, oh, I'm going to go out, do this and that. And then you're like, ooh, not me spending $400 when I only meant to spend $100. So anyways, not that it'll be a bad thing. I think that this is just showing you an expanse of what you can do with your money and how far you can make your money go, and essentially indulging in some way. It's just that Venus rules your 12th house of addiction, so it might be that a lot of you are finding comfort and finding solace in something second house related. So this also makes me think of food. It makes me think of nice things, comfortable things like nice blankets, a nice room. So beneath it all, if you feel like you're wanting to spend or go crazy and you don't necessarily want to, just know that it is all about that feeling of security and wanting to save up or wanting to invest your money in things that are joyful, pleasurable, and truly make you feel like you're aligned with the best possible version of yourself. Because of Venus ruling your 5th house, the 5th house just makes me think of your ego and makes me think of what you believe in and what you identify with. So a lot of you could just be spending money to get on brand of yourself and to find more comfort within your identity. And this is especially exaggerated because the moon will start out in Pisces this week, which will be trining this conjunction but also squaring your ascendant. So I feel like the beginning of the week, a lot of you could be getting on brand of your career. Maybe this is you spending money on the branding of your career. Maybe this is you wanting to feel more comfortable with your clients. So if you run a business, maybe this is you wanting to connect more with your clients and customers, aligning with some kind of belief or a moral, maybe one that your family has taught you, maybe one that you have learned from another family, or a maternal figure that you look up to in some way. But I also feel like this could be some kind of like a spiritual belief that some of you are indulging in. And I feel like above all else, a lot of you could just be trying to get to the basics with something that, you revolve your career, your brand around. I also feel like because Neptune's in your 11th house, maybe this could be something about finding the right people to be around. And maybe some of you just like feel very restricted right now when it comes to finding a tribe. And I definitely feel like this will be accentuated in the middle of the week when the moon moves through Aries. So think like Wednesday, maybe even like late Tuesday, the moon will, go through Saturn, Neptune, oppose Mars, join up with Chiron. So a lot of you could be receiving like wounding with finding people who are like-minded, finding people who support your vision and see eye to eye with what you want to do and what you believe in. And I feel like with Venus moving side to side with Jupiter in your second house, this could also just be about trying to build yourself up and protect yourself and stay true to your ideals and what you believe in and what you like, and protecting the people that you care about, are wanting to invest more in the relationships that matter most to you. This is such like a nesting energy, and I feel like a lot of us will definitely be going through something like that where the collective is wanting to make something more comfortable and something more beautiful. And it is no exception for you, Gemini, because in the second house, it shows that you are spending money or you're finding experiences and things that you have gone through to make yourself feel more valuable, more comfortable in yourself, but also in your interpersonal connections. And then the moon will move through Taurus at the second half of the week. So Thursday, Friday, I think that a lot of Gemini risings will just be in this mood of wanting to be alone. And I think that with the squares to your ninth house, but also your third house, maybe at the end of the week, there's something going on of like intuitive hits, interesting dreams, conversations. And I feel like maybe because the moon's in Taurus, the moon in Taurus can struggle to say things. And with a square to Mercury who has gone direct, it might be that a lot of you are afraid to disturb some kind of peace, or you're not wanting to say something because you're not wanting to rock the boat in a specific conversation or setting. And I also feel like this could be something about your sleep schedule and how much rest you're getting. And you may notice that a lot of you are wanting to invest more in your bedroom or in your mattress, but this could also be turning to other methods of feeling secure within your subconscious. I just feel like 12th house Taurus, it just makes me think of like feeling unsteady but not understanding why, and it could manifest as you clinging on to things, hanging on to things, hoarding, or just, you know, grabbing too much and like keeping things but you're not really doing anything about it. And I feel like the second half of the week could definitely reveal something about that. And I feel like with the Venus Jupiter conjunction, a lot of you are finding security within a feeling. And with that being said, just know, Gemini, it's not about the stuff that you buy and the material things that you have or how much money you have in the bank. It is about your ability to feel comfortable within your body, within your soul, and what you have learned, but also within your family, and feeling like you have a strong support system and a place that you can call your own, whether it be your body or whether it be that place that you live in. And I feel like the moon in Taurus is going to show you things that you can do in order to improve stability within your life, especially if you're like in that vibe of like you don't want to be home or you don't want to do anything, or like you're just like seemingly running away from things. This one. For you, we have the Knight of Wands. I definitely feel like with the moon moving through Aries in the middle of the week, a lot of you could just be feeling very like fiery. Maybe some of you are meeting up with the Knight of Wands because Jupiter rules your 7th house. So there could be a Knight of Wands in your life and you're spending time with them. This could be someone who's fiery, flamboyant, a Sagittarius, an Aries, or a Leo. And maybe this could also be you, you know, being curious, wanting to try new things just for the experience. And I definitely feel like with Mercury in the 3rd house in Leo, it makes me think of like going to amusement parks. It makes me think of going to the mall. It makes me think of going places where you can have fun. The casino, it makes me think of, you know, other places like that where you go out to spend money but also enjoy yourself and do things that may be a little bit risky or a little bit of an adrenaline pump. But I definitely feel like you'll have a lot of fun this week, Gemini, or you'll kind of feel like there is just a lot of situations that are demanding your energy. So some of you could even be attending a party or some kind of a gathering. Not that you would want to go, but I feel like the point is that this is one of those weeks where you want to let your colors shine and you really want to exert yourself and advocate for yourself, because seemingly there are people around you who are recognizing you, and the more you put yourself out there, the more people will see more of you, and this will attract opportunities, but also validation and attention, the good kind. So that's all I have for you, Gemini. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye. Okay, now moving on to Cancer rising. So hello, Cancer rising. If you're seeing this, this will be your horoscope for August 11th through August 17th. Pardon the background noise and like me chewing gum. It's hot. Anyways, aside from that, there are a little PSA. I feel like you have a pretty important week ahead of you, Cancer, because Venus and Jupiter will be moving side by side in your sign. The conjunction will exact on the 11th, but we'll see it right out for the course of this week. And honestly, you've probably already been feeling it. And Jupiter rules your 6th house and Venus rules your 11th and 4th house. So I definitely feel like this is a lot of you. It makes me think of two things. One, very literal manifestations where you are getting more in tune with your body and your routines and what you need health-wise. And it could be related to your home and your family, but also your social circles. It like makes me think of getting together with people you live with, you know, working out together, or maybe this is like joining a group of friends or some kind of networking thing where you're able to get together for ideas, co-working stuff. So
co-working, but this could also just be like maybe a work situation's going down when it comes to, you know, like maybe coworkers are being especially chatty with you, making friends at work, networking through work, social media exposure through like a work situation. But this could also just be some kind of value or merit coming through some kind of like interaction with another person. Whatever the case might be, Cancer, I definitely feel like there is a lot of stuff coming up about social circles, because the moon will also move through Taurus at the second half of the week. So there's a lot of stuff going on when it comes to your career, your work. And with that full moon that you had in your 8th house, I feel like a lot of Cancer risings have also been dealing with financial stuff, especially with Mercury stationing direct in your 2nd house this week, right on the 11th. This could be some kind of payout coming through, you know, if you've been signing up for school or trying to go through with payments with school. This is that being sorted out. But this could also just be like maybe you've been trying to pay something, get money back from something. And I feel like this week you will see something about that coming through. Some kind of good news, especially since the sun is in your 2nd house too. So it's like something is being illuminated, something is being helped along. And then we will see the moon start out in Pisces at the beginning of the week, and it will come into trine with Venus and Jupiter. So definitely something at the start of the week, good news with school, with travel affairs, and maybe some of you are, this is what I want to say on the other half of things when I was talking about the Venus and Jupiter conjunction before I kind of got off tangent. Aside from the very literal thing that you could be getting back into some kind of a work routine or some kind of like a habit or ritual in order to promote wellness within your body, it could also be that a lot of you are getting very in tune with some kind of like foreign attribute or some kind of like heritage situation, especially when it deals with the mother, because Cancer is the mother. And with Jupiter ruling your 6th house, maybe it's some kind of like a practice. Maybe some of you are going to some kind of retreat, some kind of getaway, and maybe this is you spending quality time with a family member, someone that you know, someone that you love and care about. And with the moon moving through Pisces, your 9th house, it also makes me think that maybe in-laws are coming to stay, or maybe there's like a very serious legal matter coming through, a good one. So maybe someone's getting married in the family, maybe there is something coming through with like contracts, buying property. And I would imagine that a lot of you are going through some massive changes within the home front. Good ones of what that suggests, big expansion, changes, and whatnot. I feel like that's the best way to say it. I feel like I have to kind of keep it vague because I feel like it will manifest so differently for all of you. Like this could be like an in-law saying that they're pregnant. This could be, you know, a family member that you are related to getting married. This could be that maybe like you're changing your status when it comes to your work and career, especially with the moon moving through Aries in the middle of the week. So I definitely feel like there's things going on about your work situation. And especially as this clashes with other areas of your life, you may notice that there's a lot of responsibilities that you're having to pick up, and it could be related to your homeland. It could be related to your family, where you're having to tend to multiple aspects of your life, but perhaps also help people that you live with and are related to. So I feel like Cancers, you could just be feeling like very moody this week, more than usual, because I'm not gonna lie, Jupiter moving through your sign can be a little bit overwhelming, where the experiences are very in your face, and this aspect is absolutely no exception, especially when it comes to your relationships at home and your sense of identity and how you relate to other people through your roots and where you come from, where your family is from. And if there is a disconnect there, I feel like a lot of you are getting more in tune with this area of your life. And with Mercury stationing direct in your 2nd house, I feel like this is also about children. This is something about your self-worth, your inner child, and your sense of creativity and how you express yourself. And as this translates to material things as well, your money and your finances. And again, this could be one of two things, where you're sorting out things with like your finances, your money, and, you know, travel affairs, moving abroad, legal matters, signing things, and having to apply for stuff. But I also just kind of feel like if you've been dealing with like a lot of digital stuff and like websites and, you know, how this relates to your money, I feel like a lot of you could be sorting that out. Like I feel like a lot of Cancer risings have been just kind of focused on their finances because of that full moon we had. So that's really the best way I can say that. But I think that there could also be little matters coming up this week where you're learning something new, applying for a class, or maybe attending something. This could also be like buying something very like makes me think of like buying like something out of superstition. So a lot of you could be getting into something of the sorts where maybe you're buying like a money toad, or maybe you're buying a good luck charm and whatnot. And maybe even some of you are having to travel abroad for a work situation. Maybe this is related to like a body of water. And with the moon joining up with Saturn and Neptune in the middle of the week, Saturn ruling your 7th house, I feel like a lot of you could be feeling a little bit restricted in your relationships and your career. So it's like, you might just be feeling like you're juggling a bunch of things at once with your reputation and your status. You're like, I'm a student, I'm working full time. I'm a partner and I want to get married. But, you know, it might just kind of feel like you're being wedged into a bunch of different identities and what you are meant to do, and you might just kind of feel like you're very overwhelmed right now, or you have a lot on your plate. And honestly, Cancer, I feel like this week is just a very good opportunity for you to just throw yourself headfirst into things. And if that not be the case, the universe is going to plunge you headfirst into a lot of stuff. It just kind of seems like a lot of you are not really that concerned with the trivial affairs in the day-to-day life. A lot of you are, but I feel like with Sagittarius ruling your 6th house and with Jupiter, you know, being tied to all that, and, you know, joining up with Venus, it might just kind of feel like you're very concerned with the bigger picture, the bigger concepts. You're kind of just like going through the motions in your day-to-day life, and it might be that in your day-to-day life you're seeing an increase in responsibilities and things to do and stack up on your plate, because there's a lot of bigger pictures and bigger goals that you have on your hands right now. And it might be that a lot of you are feeling restricted, where it's like you have to do so much work just to see a little bit of progress. But just know that every drop of progress that you do make will be very meaningful, and it will get you very far. So definitely just don't be in a hurry this week, and take things as they come, and don't be afraid to immerse yourself completely in the moment, because I definitely feel like some good thing is coming through some kind of like connection or another person wanting to assist you or provide a networking opportunity. Oh, okay. For you, we have the 5 of Swords. I like this card because I see this as definitely something about like cutting off responsibility. So maybe some of you are letting go of something because you're just realizing that it's not doing anything for you. You know, it makes me think of like a very big decision. So a lot of you could be choosing, it makes me think of like when literally someone's like, oh, I'm going to like drop out of school and pursue my business full time. Oh, I'm going to quit my day job and focus on my business, or I'm gonna do all that and I'm gonna go to school, you know? And obviously it doesn't have to manifest a lot of like for you this way, but what I'm trying to say here is that a lot of you are trying to shed responsibilities or shed things that are not relevant to what you want to do. And you're trying to gain control over your life in some way, and you're trying to make it easier on yourself. But I feel like the 5 of Swords is saying that it's necessary to cut off some things in your life, because even though they may be like contributing in some way, it's not making you happy, or it's not actually getting you closer to some of your goals. So this could even just be like a method. It doesn't have to be that you're getting rid of a goal. The point is that what's obsolete, not working, and dragging you down and not bringing you any profit will be released, or it will be showed that it's not actually doing anything for you. And this is an opportunity to look for things that will enrich your life and not drain you for the amount of labor that you're doing and not give you anything. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's all I have for you, Cancer. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye. All right, now moving on to Leo rising. So hello, Leo rising. If you're seeing this, this will be your horoscope for August 11th through August 17th. And honestly, Leo, I feel like this for you will be it'll feel like nothing's really happening, or it might kind of just feel like you're playing catch up, but the emotions that are behind your actions might feel massive, in the sense that you might do something very little, but it might just feel like you accomplished so much in one go. And I say this because we have Venus and Jupiter in a conjunction throughout the week. It will exact on the 11th, but we're going to feel it right out throughout the course of the week. And we also see Mercury stationed direct in your 1st house. So this combination definitely seems like you are working hard to let go of something or move away from something. Venus rules your 3rd house as well as your 10th house, and Jupiter rules your 5th house. So this could be something about your emotions revolving around your mother, your own connection with being a mother yourself if you happen to be one, or for others of you, this could be something about your home, your family, and maybe even siblings if you have any. But I also feel like a lot of you could be having some kind of a breakthrough when it comes to conversations with people. So maybe some of you are talking to people, thinking of new things. Venus being the third house ruler in the 12th house, maybe you're having like a breakthrough through like a reading of sorts, like whether it be like a tarot reading or you know, me, or it be something else. I feel like a lot of you could be having some pretty interesting revelations, because the third house ruler and the 12th house definitely gives me the vibe that you're seeing signs or you're seeing some kind of a synchronicity going on. So that could definitely be happening. But I also feel like this could be an energy of wanting to be by yourself and processing your thoughts, and maybe you're making this very obvious to the public in some way, or a lot of you are maybe just pulling back and putting yourself out there but not putting yourself out there. Like, this gives me like ghostwriter vibes. So maybe some of you are on some kind of vibe of that, where you're on a hiatus but then you are releasing poetry. So some of you could be on that. But I guess my point here is that because Venus rules your third house, I feel like a lot of you could make big manifestations through conversations and through writing things down. But with Jupiter ruling your fifth house, I almost wonder if this is also you all finding pleasure and excitement and pulling back and doing the things that you just really enjoy, the things that you really love, and things that you can get back to on by yourself. So a lot of you could be like locking yourself in your room and, you know, doing what you want to do. But especially because the beginning of the week, we're going to see the moon start out in Pisces, trining Jupiter and Venus. And I definitely think that a lot of you could be sorting stuff out privately, whether this be something about your finances, whether this be something about your money. I especially think that because Mercury rules your second house and it has stationed direct in your first house, and then with the moon starting out in Pisces, a lot of you could be sorting out stuff of finances throughout the course of this week, where a lot of you are paying things off, receiving money. I think a lot of the zodiac signs have probably actually received some lagging when it comes to their finances, but you especially, Leo, you and Cancer. So I feel like this week will definitely entail some kind of payout, or it will entail some kind of good financial news, and it might be something that you didn't necessarily see coming. And because the Venus and Jupiter conjunction is happening in your 12th house, it makes me think that maybe this is like something that's missing you by. So like maybe you like open an email and you're like, oh, I thought this was just junk, but it's telling me about my paycheck or my payout. So I feel like the vibe here is trust your intuition throughout this week, and make sure to know that your gut feelings are trying to tell you something, and really stick by it, because I feel like something good could really happen if you decide to just check things without understanding why you feel inclined to check it. But I also feel like this shows that this is a lot of sleep. So a lot of you could be investing in your sleep, so like your bed. But for others of you, I also just feel like this is just you trying to relax, be comfortable. And I feel like the vibe here is definitely invest in getting some rest. It's so good that it rhymes. So I think that a lot of Leo risings could just be feeling a little bit lethargic or fatigued throughout this week. And it might be that the energy that you are expending is manifesting big things. So take that into consideration. And then in the middle of the week, the moon will actually be moving through Aries, which is also a pretty nice transit because it will be trining your ascendant. It's going to join up with Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, and oppose Mars. So I've been saying for all the signs that this week is mostly about the reactions based off of last week. So it's like last week stuff has happened, and then this week it's like, oh, how do you feel about it? And you know, what action are you going to take? So for you, between the third and the ninth house, this has probably been about travel affairs, things about moving around long distances, educational pursuits, legal matters, especially when it comes to work and health matters. For others of you, this could also be about applications, signing up for things, and trying to get some kind of communication coming through. Maybe even some of you, this is something about a car, plane tickets, with Neptune kind of in the mix and Neptune ruling the 8th house. Maybe this is some kind of like a debt that needs to be paid off, maybe insurance matters. The 9th house also makes me think of in-laws, interestingly enough. So maybe there's something going on with like your in-laws and like how you're communicating with them. 3rd and 9th house just also makes me think of like difficult conversations. So a lot of you may be finding it like you're having to sort of like dice things around. Like 3rd and 9th house oppositions makes me think of like when you go to the DMV and then they ask you to do a bunch of things. So it could be that kind of vibe where there is like a rigor of information throughout this week where you're having to sort of tend to something and you're having to retrieve knowledge in some way, shape, or form. And I also see this as a lot of you could be caught up between having to drive here and there, and a lot of you could be playing catch up, especially if you have returned from a trip or if you have been dealing with stuff with traveling. So if you have been traveling, this is you coming back and sorting things out after coming back. If you are planning to travel, this is you sorting everything out so that you can go traveling. But definitely with Saturn in the ninth, there's like a restrictive energy to your beliefs as well. So maybe there's something going on with like your faith and your perspective, and maybe this is translating into the people that you consult and the conversations that you are seeking out and what you are seeking to know and possess in terms of knowledge. And then the moon will move through Taurus at the second half of the week, namely like Thursday and Friday. So I feel like this will definitely bring you some kind of news, because the moon will also come into a square with Pluto and square planets in your first house. So forming these T-squares pretty much. And so I think that the end of the week will definitely entail something about your social circles, your status quo, and your work and career matters. Especially with the ruler Venus being in the 12th house with Jupiter, I almost wonder if a lot of you are trying to integrate something new into your career path, something about like, on one hand, I feel like this is something about like a boss, and maybe this is like finding more comfort in a work situation and with a boss or something. But I've noticed a lot of Leo risings have been trying to amp up their game with their status, with, you know, like beauty and keeping up with things like Tauresian things, if you know what I mean. So like nature, food, comfort, especially with Venus being in your 12th. So this could be something around home living and ways of improving your lifestyle. And with Saturn in the 9th ruling your 6th house, I almost wonder if a lot of Leo risings are just overall turning to ways of incorporating pragmatic and very realistic ways of living into their life, to live it a little bit more spiritually and more, how do I say, in line. Like a lot of you are trying to make sure that your day-to-day routine is truly aligned with your brand and how you feel about yourself, and you're trying to ground yourself and have both feet on the ground and trying to get more in tune with nature or something else that is very tangible and real in your eyes. And if you're not doing that, this is a really good week to do something like that. Let's take this one. Yeah, we have the Two of Cups for you. So this definitely gives me the vibe that a lot of you could be having an exchange with someone this week, a particular conversation. This just makes me think of like meeting someone and then you have like a very pleasant conversation with them. And you know, these two people are very different. So it might be that a lot of you are interacting with someone whom you wouldn't have expected to interact with. There's definitely an adventurous air this week. And I just feel like, Leo, the vibe is that this week you want to embrace all interactions, all opportunities to connect with people, and you want to seize them. And you may not see what you end up gaining until you actually get it. So surprises can come through people and situations that you weren't necessarily expecting yourself to be in. So be open-minded, and I just kind of feel like this week there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of chance to be around people who really benefit you and fill up your cup in unexpected ways. Anyways, that's all I have for you, Leo. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye! Okay, now moving on to Virgo rising. So hello, Virgo rising. If you're seeing this, this will be your horoscope for August 11th through August 17th. And honestly, Virgo, I feel like this week is pretty basic. I've been kind of saying that for everyone, and I say that because a lot of this week is about coming down from last week and processing it and feeling it through. I especially think that for you, Virgo, because your chart ruler Mercury is stationing direct in your 12th house this week, I think like on the 11th. I feel like a lot of Virgo risings will definitely start to feel a little bit more themselves. I feel like a lot of you will have been in hermit mode, and a lot of you have just been kind of pulling back in some way, shape, or form, doing some soul searching. And I feel like with the sun also there in the 12th house, something's being revealed. I feel like a lot of you have probably learned a lot about yourself in these past few weeks alone, and it's probably been very enlightening, especially when it comes to dealings with the arts, creativity, creating things, but also children and just your self-expression and your ego in general. And I feel like a lot of you have probably gone through a literal ego death, or you have been looking at things from a different perspective instead of just like looking at things from specifically your ego. And I also feel like because we have Venus and Jupiter moving side by side through the course of this week. Namely, the 11th, which is when the conjunction will exact. And I feel like for a lot of you, you could be having some kind of an outing with friends. This definitely makes me think of going out with people, having some kind of gathering. Jupiter rules your 4th house, so maybe people are having like a rendezvous at your place, and maybe this is like hosting a little get together for your friends at your place or something. And Venus rules the 2nd house and your 9th house, so this could be like long distance affairs. Like, I know some Virgo risings have a friend who is coming back from a trip or a travel matter. It could be that a family member is coming back from travel matters, and maybe this is you hanging out with a family friend that you really love. This could be something about values and money as well. Maybe some of you are receiving some kind of sponsorship or some kind of merit from a social circle. This is a really, really nice transit. I have you say, Virgo, this is just one of those weeks where you really want to put yourself out there because it's great for social media exposure or putting yourself out there. And I think that with Jupiter in your 11th house, I definitely see that a lot of Virgos have been getting more exposure, even though you might not want it because your chart ruler is in the 12th house. So you're kind of like, oh, I kind of just like, But I definitely think that because your chart ruler is in Leo, there is still a desire for attention and some kind of admiration. But because it's in the 12th house, maybe it's like you want attention and recognition for something else other than, what you might be doing or other than what you are, in fact, being recognized for. And I feel like this will be kind of dramatized in the beginning of the week because the moon will be moving through Pisces and it will form trines to Venus and Jupiter in your 11th house. So I feel like at the start of the week, there is something going on here with your relationships, but especially your friendships. And maybe for some of you, this is like a friend confessing their undying emotions for you or something, or like their passion. But this could also just be deepening a bond of a friendship. Maybe this could be meeting someone through social media, especially with the full moon that just passed. Maybe this is getting into contact with someone whom you haven't spoken to in a while since Jupiter rules your 4th house. So a lot of you could be coming back to something, or someone could be coming back to you in some kind of way, shape, or form. But I definitely feel like there's also a particular significance with a female friend in your life right now. So a lot of you could be dealing with her. And I also feel like with Venus ruling your 2nd house, a lot of you could be feeling confident in your ability to take care of your friends or your social circles and also your goals. And it might be that a lot of you are finding self-worth and being graceful and having some kind of tact within a group of people who think like you, or just being around like-minded people who have the same visions as you. And maybe there's like a particular emotional attachment here. And Cancer just makes me think of the past, but it also makes me think of the mother. So maybe there's something going on with like a female friend. Maybe she's having kids or something like that. And with Jupiter ruling the 4th house, maybe she's coming to stay with you. Like, this gives me so like sleepover vibes. So a lot of Virgo risings, if you're getting on that, do let me know. But the moon will then move through Aries in the middle of the week. Think like Wednesday, Tuesday. So I feel like this could be something about your money. I definitely feel like a lot of Virgo risings have been going through stuff when it comes to their financial situations, organizing stuff, especially if you have children. If you do have children, I feel like the Saturn rulership of that could definitely be very significant for a lot of you, especially if you do stuff like working with kids, foster care, or if you're having to like administer something about like the insurance, or having to, if you're like a pediatrician. But for others of you, I also feel like this could be about your sense of creativity, being bold, expressing yourself and doing the things that you want to do, putting out there the stuff that you want to put out, not what other people want you to put out, if you know what I'm saying. But I also feel like with Neptune in the mix, maybe there's some kind of confusion here. This could also be intimacy. This could be something about deeply connecting with your kids, with your inner child, with romantic partners. This could also be something about having to sort something out with your fertility. That's what the 8th house makes me think of. And with Mars in the 2nd house, interestingly enough, I feel like Mars in the 2nd house can have like a knack for like sweets and like sugar and whatnot. So I feel like a lot of you could be dealing with something like that if that's relevant for you. But definitely because the moon will also oppose Mars, maybe for some of you, you're having to sort out something about payments. you know, especially if you feel like, you know, you want more money to have fun, enjoy yourself, and do the stuff that you like to do versus having to pay for stuff that you need to pay for. So a lot of you could be balancing out something about that throughout the course of the middle of the week. But I also feel like this could be something about your self-worth, especially when it comes to your relationships, how you relate to people, how much of use you are to them, how graceful you feel like you are being perceived right now, and how you feel like people are seeing you. And maybe there is like this sort of curiosity where you're trying to change up your brand, or you're trying to rebrand, or go through something with being a little bit different in your approach, wanting to stick out basically. Like I feel like a lot of you are in this vibe of like, well, how can I appeal amongst the masses, if you know? And then the moon will move through Taurus at the tail end of the week, near the end of the week, like Friday, Thursday. And the moon moving through Taurus is a pretty nice energy for you. It will trine your ascendant. So especially with Venus and Jupiter in your 11th, I almost wonder if for a lot of you, this could be like long distance. Maybe some of you are traveling very far with friends. Maybe for some of you, this could also be something going on with school. Maybe if you go to school, this could be you meeting a group of friends through an educational system. But for others of you, this could also be getting together in some sort of like a social circle, joining a club, joining some kind of gathering. But this could also be like traveling for a plan. But this could also be good graces with, what's it called? In-laws or extended family. The 9th house plus Taurus also makes me think of like wanting to learn more about like tactile things. So a lot of you could be wanting to expand your 5 senses. Maybe you're wanting to indulge in new scents, new flavors, new songs and whatnot. So I feel like there could definitely be some sort of like an adventurous attitude toward the end of the week, and this adventurous attitude will be brought on by the people around you and the environment that you are in. So definitely some kind of curiosity this week that is brought to you from an external source. I really want to take a card from the back. For you, we have the 9 of Wands. I definitely feel like this card says a lot, because I feel like a lot of Virgo risings have been silently working towards their goals, or you've been feeling like there's a lot going on right now, and maybe you kind of feel like so little effort, or like so much effort just to get little to no merit, validation, and attention. Or it might kind of just feel like you've had to pull back and cut back on the things that you love doing the most, because there are other sectors of your life that are demanding your attention and your energy. The 9 of Wands is the end of the Wands journey, or it is nearing the end. So Virgo, you should just know that you're reaching the end of a very, very long journey. And I feel like a lot of you are about to wrap something up in your life that has been taking a very long time. So take care to make sure that these last few steps and these last few movements that you're going to go through in these next few days will be something that is done with intention and with a lot of gusto. Finish strong and make sure that you end everything on a good note. Anyways, that's what I have for you, Virgo. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye. Okay, now moving on to Libra rising. So hello, Libra rising. If you are seeing this, this will be your horoscope for August 11th through August 17th. And honestly, Libra, I feel like this week for you will definitely feel very exposed, or it'll just feel like there's a lot happening in your career sector, because a lot of the planets and the action is in the top half of your chart. So especially with the Venus and Jupiter conjunction that is happening in your 10th house, and they will be riding side by side for a little bit there. And I feel like because this is in your 10th house of a career, your reputation, your status, and Cancer is about emotional connections, the mother, family, a lot of you could be receiving a lot of attention and a lot of merit, but especially within your family and your bloodline. For some of you, I also feel like this could be something about becoming a little bit more comfortable within a career setting. So I feel like a lot of you could be having like a divine feminine energy looking over you right now in some kind of career sector. Jupiter rules your 3rd house, and Venus, aside from being a chart ruler, also rules your 8th house. So a lot of you could be receiving some kind of benefit from a work situation. I feel like for some of you, this could, aside from being gaining some sort of exposure, especially if you do like social media, or especially if you do some kind of like work where you like deal with, you know, like the internet and having to reach as many people as possible. It could be that a lot of you are learning new things, exchanging ideas with people. But because of Venus's rulership over the 8th house, it makes me think of when you get a job that has a lot of benefits. So like a job that gives you like health insurance, or they pay for your school, or they give you other kinds of benefits. So I feel like a lot of you could be landing a job like that, or maybe some of you are upgrading your position to where you're able to receive more leeway or more sponsorships and good things. So a lot of you could be doing things like that. Venus ruling or Jupiter dealing with the 3rd house, I also feel like maybe for some of you, you could be receiving an item. So maybe this is like your job giving you a laptop or a car so that you can use these things. Or maybe for others of you, this could also be something about websites and creating them. Maybe some of you could be receiving some kind of like a financial boost or some kind of a raise. For others of you, I also feel like this could be something about like a literal family thing. So maybe some of you are receiving some kind of attention or some kind of benefit from a family member, or especially with your mother's side. But I feel like because the 10th house is also about our goals and ambitions, it could be that a lot of you are also getting more in tune with what you feel emotionally connected to in terms of what you want to accomplish and what you want to get done. So that could definitely be a theme for some of you. The moon will start out in Pisces this week in your 6th house, and it will trine Venus and Jupiter in the 10th. So I feel like the start of the week, a lot of you could be receiving some kind of attention from like a work setting. But for others of you, it also makes me think that maybe there's something getting changed with a work setting. Like maybe some of you are working from home. Maybe some of you are trying to, some of you are trying to sprucing up your life or add more responsibilities and obligations. The moon moving through Pisces, it makes me think of spiritually moving through your routine, or moving through your routine with a little bit more intention, with more work. And maybe this is something about your animals. Maybe this is something about plants that you have to take care of. I will say that because the moon will also square Uranus and Gemini and trining planets in your 10th house, maybe it's that some people, like a lot of people, are going out of their way to seek you out. There could also be some stretches of like long distance matters and maybe even educational pursuits within a routine matter. But I also feel like this could be something about your health and your well-being. And with the Cancerian energy present, maybe some of you are turning to more like holistic methods and medicinal healing that is passed down to you from your heritage and your family, especially with Saturn and Neptune still together in your 7th house. So it could be that you are dealing with some kind of restriction because of a relationship, but it could also be through that vibe of like family members and people around you that you are receiving some kind of healing and some kind of benefit. And with the moon moving through Aries in the middle of the week, I feel like a lot of you are just dealing with your relationships, period. Honestly, Libra, like you as a Libra rising, you will continue to deal with relationships throughout your life. But I feel like with Saturn currently in your 7th, and I'm going to keep saying this because it's going to be exaggerated this week, because I feel like a lot of the stuff that was going on last week was just like, we had no time to react, and this week is more about processing things and kind of seeing how you feel about stuff. And for you this week, it's all about how it relates to your career, your work, and your ambitions. And I feel like this is being sorted out through how you relate to other people and your day-to-day obligations and what your sort of rituals and habits are. And the 6th house also makes me think of like ops. So I don't really mention the hidden enemies part of the 6th house very often, but I almost wonder if some of you are feeling like, if you feel like there's some kind of like a drama situation at work, or if you feel like there is like something that needs to be sorted out in a work situation with coworkers, I feel like this week for you, it could be that higher ups or bosses are very much favoring you or wanting to take care of you and protect you. I will also say that Mercury will be stationing direct in your 11th house, which is a really lovely energy. I feel like for a lot of you, maybe this could be like getting together with friends if you felt disconnected from people who are like-minded like you, or people who you feel like you can relate to. This will definitely be a week where you start to see more energy come through in that area. And maybe there's even plans to go to some kind of gathering. So maybe there's been like a party or an event that's been meaning to be hosted for a while now. And then Mercury going direct is like, okay, it's finally happening now. So it's like like a get together was scheduled like months ago with your friend groups, but all of you have been super busy and caught up with things. And then Mercury going direct, it's like, oh my gosh, y'all, like I finally have the place to myself. I finally have this and that. So we can hang out this weekend. And then you're like, oh my gosh, finally. And then the moon will move through Taurus at the end of the week. So definitely near the end of the week, there is like a lot of financial focus, or there is an emphasis on money. And I feel like for maybe some of you, there is something going on here with material things. I feel like the end of the week for you specifically, there will be a deeper connection to stability, and maybe this will be bringing out fears regarding around stability, your inner child. Oh, what if I don't have enough to do the things that I enjoy? What if I never get to experience having children? Or because that's what the 8th house squaring Pluto in the 5th house makes me think of. But for others of you, I also feel like there will just be like a very deep connection at the end of the week with your 5 senses, things that you can touch, smell, feel, hear, see. So I definitely feel like if you're wanting to bring in change, or if you're wanting to decompress at the end of the week, especially on like Friday, indulging in those things will be very good for you. And I feel like this will be brought on by people who hold the same visions as you. But overall, Libra, I kind of just feel like this week for you will be one of those weeks where you are sorting things out, and you are making more time for friend groups, making more time for the people that you care about, and distributing time a little bit differently within your relationships, especially if you feel like you've been hanging out with your partner a lot and not your friend groups, or vice versa. For some of you as well, this could also be sortings that revolving around legal matters, trying to find out things when it comes to a home situation, a family situation, especially if there is thing going on with like legal logistics and like marriage, property affairs. This could also just be having to sort out stuff with your family, especially if like you share stuff with each other, like phone plans, insurance, other stuff like that. Those are just some vague examples, but the point is that I just feel like a lot of you could be going back and forth with some kind of like a document situation this week, especially if you've been dealing with like a court date, or if you have been anticipating having to get together for something to discuss with people in order to sort something out like professionally or like legally, and it requires like signatures, papers, and meetings. Oh. Let me know how this Mars in Libra transit is treating y'all, because oh my gosh, I don't like it. Let's take this card. For you, we have the 8 of Swords. I definitely get the vibe that a lot of you might be feeling like you are stuck between a rock and a hard place, in the sense that maybe you just feel like there's a lot going on right now and you don't really know what to focus your energy on. The 8 of Swords is notorious for being a self-inflicted card, in the sense that you are overthinking things, and sometimes it is better just to take action and do something about it, instead of kind of sitting around and being like, oh, I don't know what to do. So take your time and pay attention to how you feel more, as opposed to trying to fall into all of the logical aspects of things, because it's not going to hold up as well as trusting your intuition, especially with your chart ruler in a water sign. So definitely trust your feelings this week, Libra, and don't go against your gut feeling. Anyways, that's all I have for you, Libra. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye. Okay, now moving on to Scorpio rising. So hello, Scorpio rising. If you're seeing this, this will be your horoscope for August 11th through August 17th. And honestly, Scorpio, I feel like this will be a pretty nice week for you, because the highlight of the week is Venus and Jupiter coming into a conjunction, which will exact on like the 11th / the 12th. And Venus and Jupiter will ride side by side for a majority of the week, and this will be in your 9th house. So this is a great time to like read your favorite book, reread your favorite book, taking a class. Maybe some of you are literally doing something like that. Maybe you're signing up for your classes. Maybe you are applying for something. Maybe you are trying to get something through with like a legal matter. And the 9th house makes me think of like a bigger system, so like a foundation. It makes me think of the court, so that's why I mentioned legal matters. But for others of you, it could be a college, it could be a place of worship, so like a monastery, a church. But Actually, that's more like 12th house theme, but because Venus rules your 12th house, it's kind of like tomato. But because it's in Cancer, it could be something revolving around your homeland, especially when it relates to your mother. I feel like there will be a huge emphasis on motherhood throughout the course of this week and this entire transit, TBH. But this could also be a female family member coming to stay with you, especially like an in-law. So maybe some of you are dealing with something like that. Venus rules your 12th and your 7th house, and Jupiter rules your 2nd house. So I feel like maybe some of you could be receiving some kind of payout. So especially, you know, if you got a scholarship at a school and you're waiting for some kind of like money to come through, or if you applied for a loan from like a bank or like a higher system, this could be definitely you receiving some kind of benefit from that. But Venus ruling your 7th house as well, this could also be traveling with a partner. This could be a renewed sense of energy when it comes to the people around you. I definitely feel like partners will feel especially nurturing towards you. So this could be people buying you stuff, wanting to, you know, get you things, people wanting to spend quality time with you, cook for you, do other things for you. Venus ruling your 12th house, maybe this could also be something about releasing something about your faith and your beliefs. This could be a very emotional thing where a lot of you are projecting, or a lot of you are being projected on, and it kind of just seems like you're looking at something and it feels so much deeper than it actually is, in the sense that you may be feeling one way because of a situation and how you're perceiving it, but you may realize soon enough that the way you're feeling is not at all related to what's actually happening in front of you. And because of that, I feel like this week presents a lot of opportunity for introspection and being around the right people at the right time to bring in new perspectives and to enrich your self-worth through knowledge and to connecting with information and teachings that you feel very connected to and very attached to. And I feel like this could be like done right at home. Maybe some of you are literally moving really far. Like this makes me think like maybe y'all moving across the country, across the seas. So especially at the start of the week, the moon will start out in Pisces and it will trine Venus and Jupiter in your 9th house. So there could be something going on here when it comes to family members and children. Maybe someone's getting married, maybe someone's having a kid, and this is you having to travel to attend a baby shower. But nice thing is that Mercury will also station direct in your 10th house. So I feel like there could definitely be some good news coming through when it comes to education and your career and how those two things kind of work in tandem. Mercury ruling your 11th house and your 8th house, I feel like this could also be about finding like-minded people in the career sector. I feel like this Mercury retrograde has been really frustrating for Scorpio placements because maybe a lot of you have felt like you've had to double down with your career and your work and your craft and how you garner attention and ego from that and what you feel like is important to you. So it's kind of like a lot of Scorpio risings have probably been going back and forth with themselves when it comes to what they want to do with themselves and what goals and ambitions they want to embark on. And I feel like with Mercury going direct and with Jupiter and Venus riding side by side in your 9th house, I feel like this is an opportunity to pursue things but also get some kind of like a clear vision and idea and aligning more with what you believe in. And I just feel like this is like a major opportunity for you all to get back on track with something in your life, especially if you have felt very bogged down. And the moon will move through Aries in the middle of the week, and it will come into a conjunction with Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron, and also oppose Mars. And I have you say, Scorpio, the name of the game this week will be all about maintaining your schedule, getting enough sleep, making sure that you're getting enough physical activity in, maintaining good health, doing the things that you love doing, and fitting in time for the stuff that you identify with. And Saturn rules your 3rd house and Neptune rules your 5th house. So this could be something about like if you want kids, like this is about hitting up that gynecologist. But for others of you, this could also be something about like contacting the right people, organizing your schedule, and making sure to communicate with precision, especially if you have been dealing with snags because of coworkers or because of people that you work with, or if you felt like your routine has just been like really packed on. This week, especially for you, could be feeling a little bit rigorous. So try to break things up in chunks and make sure to try to spread things out and not try to do things all at once. The Martian tendency is to wait till the last minute and work when you're under tremendous amounts of pressure. But I feel like you could save yourself a lot of time and fit in more to do if you actually pace yourself, and then you'll have a lot more time and energy to do the things that you love and the things that you want to do. Especially if you feel like a little bit emotionally disconnected in some way. I feel like this Venus and Jupiter conjunction could bring you some good things in terms of just being a little bit more emotionally present and being a little bit more grounded within your existence. And then at the end of the week, the moon will be moving through Taurus. So I definitely feel like with the moon moving through Taurus on like Friday, this could be bringing something through within your relationships. If you've been waiting for news regarding legal matters, the end of the week could be bringing you something like that, especially if it involves sums of money and whatnot. For others of you, I just feel like this could be something about value and quality time within relationships, investing in them. That's what it makes me think of. Venus and Jupiter together in the ninth, Venus ruling your seventh house and the moon being in the seventh house. It literally makes me think of investing in your relationships, whether it be through a memory, through an adventure, traveling. Maybe some of you are trying to try new things and be adventurous with those that you love and care about. But overall, I also feel like I said, this could be like a long distance partner coming to visit you or see you. But aside from that, Scorpio, I feel like because the moon will also square Pluto in your fourth as well as Mercury in your 10th, it could be that your relationships are directly impacting something about your career and your home work-life balance. So your personal life is seemingly being affected, or like your personal life and your career and your goals is seemingly being affected by your relationships and your interpersonal connections. And mind you, the moon, especially if you're like a 0 to 10 degrees of Scorpio rising, maybe even like 0 to 5, the moon will form a grand fixed cross in your chart with Pluto, Mercury, the moon. So I feel like Scorpio, you have like a very busy week ahead of you, and I feel like it'll be very fulfilling, or it'll just be like very pleasant. So this is just one of those weeks where it's like the more organized you are, the more you'll enjoy it. It makes me think of like when people bake and they always say like, oh, like pre-measure things, because it makes it a lot more enjoyable. So lay things out this week, and you'll find that when you do that, moving through it with some sort of structure will be really nice for you. Like, don't be afraid to create yourself like a little bit of an itinerary, because you may feel like you have a lot of stuff going on and you need to make sure you fit in sleep, physical activity, and all the other stuff that growing adults need. I don't know why, but I really want to take the last card. For you, we have the Princess of Swords. So there's probably an energy revolving around being curious. This definitely makes me think of like wanting to learn new things. Page of Swords is very hesitant. You know, it doesn't necessarily want to say everything. And I definitely feel like with the moon moving through Taurus at the end of the week, the moon in Taurus can be very hesitant to communicate. It wants to keep the peace. It doesn't want to rock the boat. And that's so what makes me think of like Page of Swords. It makes me think of like someone who's holding off, but also very curious. This is also a very gossipy energy. So just pay attention to the flow of information in your life throughout the course of this week, Scorpio. And don't be too in that vibe of trying to decide, thinking things through. Don't be afraid to just write things down and just get it done right then and there. You may find that just by trial and error and experimenting and diving into things headfirst, you will end up accomplishing so much more than trying to sit there and decide and think through what the perfect plan of action is. Anyways, that's all I have for you, Scorpio. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye! Okay, now moving on to Capricorn rising. So hello, Capricorn rising. If you're seeing this, this will be a horoscope for August 11th through August 17th. Honestly, Capricorn, I feel like this week for you will be pretty interesting, and I hope a lot of you will get back to me about how it goes, because the highlight of the week is the Venus and Jupiter conjunction that will be happening in your 7th house. And Venus rules your 5th house, and Jupiter rules your 12th house. And this is a very karmic energy. Venus also rules your 10th house, by the way. But this is like a very karmic energy in my eyes. And I want to say that because Jupiter rules your 12th house, I'm not going to say that the things that are brought to you this week will just be like permanent, everlasting, beautiful things. But I will say that the lessons and the perspectives that this week brings you, it'll be pretty invaluable, and you may find that you have a lot of fun just enjoying the ride and immersing yourself in the moment. This literally makes me think of like when you're out with friends and it's like 3 a.m. and you're doing something very like, you know, like immature, like, I don't know, like going to the beach. Of course, that's something I would do, but I know not all of you are into that. But, you know, it makes me think of just doing something very spontaneous, and then you're so immersed in that moment, and then you just have like that pocket where you're like, man, like life is not always going to be this way. So a lot of you could share something like that with another person, or you may find that throughout the course of this week there are several moments where you get deja vu, definitely because Jupiter rules your 12th house. This could definitely be like karmic, or you might meet someone from a past life, or there could be some kind of a reunion you have with another person. Not to say that like, oh, like you're just gonna be like on this vibe of like meeting people and then like it's like fated encounters and whatnot, but definitely there is this energy of exchanges with people that are meant to happen, that will open up your perspectives to having fun and at least having some kind of memory that will be a fun story to tell for your kids or something like that. But Venus also ruling your 10th house, I also feel like this could be good graces with people that you work with, especially like bosses. And maybe this could be like expansion of like clientele, especially if you're trying to like run a business or if you're trying to open up some kind of a service. And Venus ruling your 10th house, it makes me just think that this could be people trying to seek you out. I meant that Mars is moving through your 10th house. I can't wait till Mercury retrograde ends, y'all. I'll get to that in a second. But Mars being in your 10th house, I feel like there's a lot of energy when it comes to your work and your creativity and things that you are trying to do right now. You know, like Libra makes me think of like beauty and fashion and pretty things and aesthetics. So a lot of you could be going through some kind of like a rebranding and letting something go. And it might be that because Jupiter rules your 12th house, maybe this is you letting go of specific people. Maybe this could be you trying to appeal less to a specific audience. But I feel like definitely there's something going on here when you're connecting with others and it is bringing you a new point of view. And the moon will be moving through Pisces in the beginning of the week, and it will trine Venus and Jupiter. Definitely something about like social media. Like the beginning of the week is a very good time to post. It's a very good time to publish things, like having conversations with people, talking to people. Some of you could be on those apps again, so that could be relevant. Maybe some of you are launching a new website. Maybe some of you are trying to organize something about your website. Maybe this is you buying a new piece of tech and this is you signing up for it. Maybe some of you are buying a car this week. Maybe some of you are getting a car service done. Maybe some of you are making some sort of like a consultation, going to an appointment, going to a therapist. This also makes me think of like conversations with family members, but especially family members that are on your mom's side. So maybe like aunts, uncles, grandmothers, grandpas from your mother's side of the family, because Cancer. And Mercury will also station direct in your 8th house, which is a really nice energy. I feel like with Mercury stationing direct here, you could be dealing with a lot less calamity when it comes to your financial situations, especially if you have been dealing with delays with money stuff and like payouts and insurance, taxes. And so I think that with Mercury ruling your 9th house and 6th house, they could be related to work. They could be related to like health related things, you know, like getting checks from the hospital. Maybe this is something about schools, especially if you got like a scholarship. This could also be related to the other things where you have applied for some kind of a loan, or if you have trying to get some kind of like a sum of money in order to kickstart some sort of project, and maybe this is you receiving some kind of sponsorship for that, or maybe this is you getting a payout that you have just been really longing for. Leo also makes me think of children, so maybe this could be related to like child support. Leo also makes me think of like creativity, so maybe if you have been in like a writer's block, or if you've been dealing with some sort of blockage and frustration of like the things that you want to get done, things that you want to accomplish, and how you want to express yourself, I feel like this Mercury going direct could be an opportunity for you to get back on track of those things. The moon will also move through Aries in the middle of the week, and I feel like because it will join up with Saturn and Neptune, your chart rulers, definitely something going on with your household in the start of the week, especially if like taking care of like an older family member. Maybe this could also be you having to like sort out things in the home, Neptune ruling the 3rd. Maybe this is like stuff going on in your neighborhood. Maybe you're having to sort out like the plumbing or like the watery stuff within a neighborhood. Like maybe there's like water issues in the house and you're having to fix the piping, or if you're having to like having to consult someone about it. But with Venus and Jupiter moving side by side in your 7th house, I definitely feel like a lot of people are flocking to come assist you. But, you know, you as a Capricorn rising, it's really about stepping in to receive that assistance. Nice thing is, though, the moon will come into trines of planets in your 8th house. So I definitely feel like if there is an issue at home that you're having to fix when it comes to like water or like literally fixing something, you're receiving some kind of financial benefit for it, or there will be some kind of like leeway when it comes to the money aspect of things. And I know that you as an Earth rising are very concerned with those things. The moon will then move through Taurus at the end of the week. It will move through it maybe like Thursday, Friday. Very lovely energy. I feel like Friday for you will be a very fun time. And this weekend might just be very busy for you, Capricorn. Like, I feel like a lot of you could just be going here, going there, going there. And with the moon coming to squares with Pluto and Mercury, maybe a lot of you are not wanting to spend too much money. So a lot of you could be in this vibe of like you're holding yourself back a tad bit, or you're going out and then you end up spending more than you wanted to, and you're like, ooh, y'all, I don't know if I should have been doing all that. Like, that was a lot of money. That was crazy of me. So definitely watch your spending this week, Capricorn. Or if you would like, I feel like what you should do is you should set money aside gradually and then build up to the weekend, and kind of like, don't spend it all in little chunks throughout the week. Don't be afraid to save up for the few events that you are wanting to go to, especially with Mars and Libra, Mars ruling your 11th house. Like, that's all about experience, you know, like you're wanting to post more, you're wanting to be out there a little bit more, you're wanting to gain some more exposure, you're willing to put yourself out there more, and you're willing to be admired, be charmed, or be the charmer. So I definitely feel like there is something going on this week where it's like you're wanting to get back out there and you're wanting to post more and you're wanting to be a little bit more active, and there's really no better way to do it. Just get into it. Yeah. Anyways, let's shuffle the cards and see what comes out for you. And let me know how this Mars and Libra transit's going for you, especially for your natal Mars and Libra. This card, it's like sticking out. For you, we have the Two of Cups. I forgot who else got this card. But the Two of Cups definitely makes sense with Venus and Jupiter in your 7th house. Definitely something about your relationships, your interpersonal connections. This also makes me think of an exchange. So a lot of you could be making an exchange with another person, an important one at that. So I feel like for a lot of you, this is just like, that's the vibe, you know, like connecting with another person, getting to know another person. And I always notice that the people in this card look very different from one another. So it might be that you are connecting with someone whom you wouldn't usually consider to be in your league, or be someone that you would want to interact with. So be open-minded and don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone when it comes to your connections this week, because you may be surprised to find out what you're able to gain, what you're able to learn, and what you're able to feel through interacting with specific people. Anyways, that's all I have for you, Capricorn. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye. All right, now moving on to Aquarius rising. So hello, Aquarius rising. If you're seeing this, this will be your horoscope for August 11th through August 17th. And honestly, Aquarius, I feel like this week for you will be one of those weeks where I've been saying this for a while now because of Jupiter in your 6th, but it's especially accentuated right now because Venus and Jupiter will come into a conjunction right in your 6th house this week on the 11th/the 12th. And the conjunction exacts on these days, but they will be riding side by side for quite a bit throughout the course of this week. So Venus rules your 9th house and your 4th house. And as someone who's had Jupiter move through their 6th house recently, I feel like for a lot of you, this could be like beauty related, or it could just be that a lot of you are wanting to incorporate different concepts and beliefs and philosophies into your day-to-day routine in order to improve it, make it more comfortable. You know, Cancer makes me think of comfort. It makes me think of emotional attachment. And it could be that a lot of you are trying to dabble into different routines and habits because it's something that you are nostalgic with, familiar with, and very much connected to. So it kind of low-key makes me think of like, oh, I'm gonna start doing this because my mom used to do it every morning when I was a little kid. Or I remember when I was younger, I used to do stuff like this. Now I'm gonna start doing it again. You know, obviously that's like a very vague answer, but the point is that the Cancer deals with the past. It makes me, especially because Venus also rules your 4th house, it could be that a lot of you are indulging in some kind of like a childhood pleasure. So it could be that maybe you are eating an Otter Pop and you remember you see Otter Pops during the summer all the time, you know? It makes me think of like turning to those old school remedies. So it's like if your mom used to like give you like lemon honey tea every time you're really sick. This is you coming through and either extending it to your own children or doing it for yourself. Venus ruling your ninth house is a pretty interesting energy because it could be that you are incorporating something more holistic into your routine. And so if it not be the case, I feel like others of you, because of that ninth house dealing, maybe some of you are dealing with a higher system and maybe you're finding work or opportunity in like a bigger system, whether it be like a corporation, whether it be a foundation, whether it be, you know, like a court or something. But definitely something is coming through where you're able to receive some kind of work or you're able to receive some sort of labor, especially if you're trying to invest in property for like a work matter. But for others of you, I also feel like this could be like stretches in your routine. Maybe you're going on a trip or some kind of travel thing for your job, or maybe some of you are finding a job abroad. Maybe you're having to commute a little bit low key. Like that's what this can be as well. But it definitely makes me think that a lot of you are traveling and just moving around a lot more and wanting to learn. Jupiter rules your 11th house, so maybe this is through specific connections, through friends, social circles, through your friend groups and whatnot. But this also makes me think of a vision, especially with that full moon that you just had in your first house, Aquarius. I feel like a lot of you are in this vibe of you feel like you see things very clearly now, or you kind of feel like there has been some sort of like a catch or like a reveal made to you, and this is you being like, like what do I need to do in order to change the trajectory of my life right now? And it starts with the little actions that you do on a day-to-day basis. So I feel like a lot of you could be rearranging your rituals and your habits in order to compensate this. The moon will start out in Pisces at the beginning of the weekend and will come into trines with Venus and Jupiter in your 6th house. So this low-key makes me think of like financially investing into it. So maybe, you know, if you're wanting to work out more, this is you investing into your workout clothes. But this also makes me think of like wanting to make your workspace a little bit more comfortable. So if you work in an office, this could be you trying to sprucing it up. But for others of you, I also feel like this could be trying to garner self-worth through some kind of service. And maybe it could be that like you're wanting to bring some kind of I keep saying service, but like service to your family. Maybe this is you wanting to be useful or give yourself up to some sort of a cause. And you know, Pisces in the 2nd house, it makes me think of like a very self-sacrificing energy, and combined with like trines to planets in your 6th house and Cancer, it makes me think that a lot of you right now are in this vibe of wanting to nurture, wanting to take care of, or wanting to be taken care of. This is like a very nice transit to get like a massage or to get some kind of like a treatment done, or like a pedicure, manicure, or you know, go into like a spa. Oh my gosh, that'd be so amazing. I feel like this is an amazing week for you, Aquarius, to go to like one of those float spas or to just get like a Chinese massage done at the mall. Trust, they do feel good. Take it from me. The moon will then move through Aries in the middle of the week. The middle of the week will definitely be pretty busy for you, Aquarius. I feel like the week will start out kind of like a little bit tame, where you're like, oh, I'm just gonna take care of this, water the plants, you know, get this done. And then when the moon moves through Aries in the middle of the week, joining up with Saturn and Neptune, a lot of you could just be like moving around, especially with Mercury stationing direct in your 7th house. So it's like all hands on deck with your relationships, applications. A lot of you could be going to interviews, having phone calls, or having to sign up for things. Mercury rules your 8th house as well as your 5th house. So this could be like a lot of gatherings. It could be like very busy energy where you're like, oh, like I'm going to go do this with my friends, and then I have to go to work, and then I have to go to this interview that I have, and then I need to go to this event and whatnot, this birthday party that I don't even want to go to. And for a select few of you, I also feel like this could be sorting out the financial logistics of a vehicle, or sorting out the financial logistics from like a legal matter. So this could be relevant for some of you. But definitely I feel like there's a financial tone involved because Neptune's in the mix, and Neptune rules your 2nd house and Mercury rules your 8th house. So a lot of you could be going back and forth with partners or people that you were associated with when it comes to like financial affairs. And I feel like the moon moving through Aries will amp up communication. But I will say that because the moon will also join up with Chiron, be wary of arguments, Aquarius. I feel like every time the moon moves through Aries, y'all get a little bit temperamental, or y'all get a little bit frustrated. And I feel like this is one of those weeks where maybe you're feeling especially mouthy, especially with like coworkers and people that you work with. Especially like a woman, maybe there's something going on here where like a woman's being snappy, moody, or defensive with you, and you're having to sort of like diffuse that. or there could be some kind of like a situation or like moodiness going on when it comes to like a social circle and friend groups, and you're like, girl, like I don't get down like that, like if you have a problem just say it, and then this person's like, no no no. So a lot of you could be dealing with something of that nature. I feel like whatever the case may be, it is probably something that got brought up last week when the Mars and Saturn opposition happened. So know that this week is about processing the emotions from last week. And then at the end of the week, the moon will move through Taurus. So when the moon moves through Taurus, I really like this for you. A lot of you could be finding comfort. And, you know, with Venus and Jupiter, girl, Thursday and Friday are just really good days to stay in, cook yourself a nice meal for you or your loved one. This is a good time to snuggle under the blankets, watch your favorite movie. It's all about stimulating the five senses within the home, lighting a candle, you know, spraying some air freshener, the things that you like, reading a good book, eating your favorite food, like I said, but this could also be like listening to your favorite song, feeling your favorite materials, looking at your favorite paintings. Just this weekend, I feel like will be very pleasurable for Aquarius risings, and I feel like there are major opportunities this week to find pleasure in your routine and comfort there. And I feel like Venus and Jupiter moving together in your sixth house shows that you'll find stability and security within maintaining some kind of specific ritual throughout the week. So it's like every morning have like a glass of lemon water, and that could be your emotional security throughout this transit, and it'll be something that, you know, like you can build so much off of that and build off so much health beliefs and philosophies and learn something new by doing something consistently and seeing what changes it brings to your life and your body. Anyways, let me shuffle the cards and see what comes out. This one. Yeah, for you, we have the Emperor. I like this energy because it's associated with Aries, and I feel like with the Aries energy that you're going to be experiencing this week, you're very much in control, or it seems like a lot of you are calling the shots, taking action in some way, shape, or form. The Emperor also makes me think of the father, so a lot of you could be dealing with a father figure in your life, especially as it relates to their mother, and maybe it could be your father's side of the family and the women on that side of the family that you are learning more about, going back and forth with. But if that not be the case, I just feel like a lot of you are taking some sort of authority in your life right now and stepping into a position of power, or associating with someone who is stepping into a position of power. But either way, some kind of control is being exerted somewhere in your life, and it's a lot of passion, it's a lot of energy, and it's being done through words, communication, and ideas. So pay attention to that and use your words very wisely, and don't be afraid to think a little too much in before you start speaking up, because you'll find that what you say has a lot of credence to it, and it is either manifesting or swaying the situation in a completely different direction. Anyways, that's all I have for you, Aquarius. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye. All right, now moving on to Pisces rising. So hello, Pisces rising. If you're seeing this, this will be a horoscope for August 11th through August 17th. Sorry, I'm like so tired. But honestly, Pisces, I feel like this week for you will be very enjoyable, and there's a lot of opportunity to have fun if you make the conscious effort to do so. And I say this because Venus and Jupiter will be moving side by side in your 5th house together. And this is just like, you know, like Venus is happy in the 5th, and this is definitely giving me the vibe that a lot of, you know, the 5th house makes me think of fun. It makes me think of going out. It makes me think of spending time with friends, parties, the casino. It makes me think of going shopping. And combined with Cancer, it makes me think of like maybe like staying home, having a house party, or inviting a bunch of your friends over. Venus rules your 8th and your 3rd house, and Jupiter rules your 10th house. So maybe this is like a neighborhood party going on, you know, like maybe your neighbors are just like getting rowdy and they're having a lot of fun, and this is you spending time with them. Maybe this is you going over to a neighbor's house, or someone, you know, like a neighbor coming over to your house. But this could also be immediate relatives coming over for something, maybe like a birthday party and whatnot. And I feel the reason why I say that it'll take effort is because Mercury and the Sun are still in your 6th, and Mercury is stationing direct in your 6th house this week, which is a very lovely energy. Mercury does not mind being a Leo, and it loves to be in the 6th house. It does well here. So I feel like there's this energy this week where it's like having fun will be something where it's like, okay, like let me get what I need to get done first, and then, you know, work on my schedule and make sure that things are lined up. But then once they are, you'll find that you're enjoying yourself, doing the things that you love doing, and being around the people that you just feel the most connected to. I also want to say that Venus with Jupiter, it makes me think of like baby showers. So maybe someone's having a kid, maybe you're having a kid, especially with Venus ruling your 8th house. Like this could be like taking a pregnancy test. But, you know, that's for some of you, not all of you, obviously. But the moon will also start out in your 1st house this week. So I would imagine that whatever is going on, if you're noticing something like that, it will be in the beginning of the week as opposed to the second half of the week. And when the moon's trining planets in your 5th, I just feel like there's something going on here with enjoying yourself, having fun, and maybe the start of the week you are going to like an event or doing something just like enjoyable, like I said, especially with like your mother, or there could be something about the mother that is very significant here. The 5th house also makes me think of the inner child, self-expression. So it could be that a lot of you are indulging in forms of art and self-expression in order to express that part of you where you feel very like attached. So it's like watching cartoons that you used to watch as a little kid, getting down and, you know, painting things that you used to get into as a kid. And interestingly enough, Cancer makes me think of the past. So maybe some of you are finding stuff from the past, or in some way, shape, or form, the past is coming to find you through things that you used to love, like a cartoon that you used to love, a book you used to read all the time, or maybe some of you are like finding your mom's old jewelry. So the middle of the week is definitely the most tense part of the week because the moon will move through Aries, your 2nd house, and it will join up with Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron, and it will come into trines of planets in your 6th house. So I definitely feel like a lot of you could be receiving some kind of like a benefit, or like how do I say, self-worth or an ego boost through being able to do something for someone, like provide a service or help somebody with something. Maybe like a friend, maybe like with Saturn ruling your 11th house, maybe this is a friend asking you to lend them a hand on something, and then you end up being like very helpful, and then they're like, oh my god, like that was so nice, like thank you so much, and then you're like, don't mention it, I just like saved your life or whatever. So a lot of you could be dealing with something like that. But definitely I feel like this week there is this era of people asking you for favors, or you asking other people for favors, because Mercury stations direct, and then, you know, Mercury rules your 7th and your 4th house, and this could all be related to your home. This could be establishing certain rituals and behaviors at home in order to make your life a little bit more prolific, especially if you do live with children, or if you live with family, or if you live with a partner or something like that. I also feel like this could be stuff going a little bit smoothly at a work situation. So if you've been dealing with like inconsistency or, you know, like calamity at, you know, work and settings. So I feel like if that's been the case, a lot of you could be finally sorting through that. But especially in the middle of the week where you're getting paid, or you're getting some kind of assistance, or someone is giving you recognition, appreciation for something that you did or you've been able to do, especially with this Venus and Jupiter conjunction. It makes me think of like you had like a creative idea and people are really appreciating you for it, or like flocking to you for inspiration, or to treat you as their muse. So a lot of people could be just wanting to like be around you. I feel like a lot of you could also just be like taking risks this week, gambling, doing things just for the fun of it, just to feel something, just to feel that excitement. Obviously, like, do this in moderation. And then the moon will move through Taurus at the end of the week, and then it will come into a square with Pluto and Mercury, so forming a very light T-square. So I feel like the end of the week could definitely entail like communication, moving around. The moon in Taurus in the 3rd house, very nice energy. You have a lot of planets rejoicing. You know, Venus is rejoicing, the moon is rejoicing because they're in houses that they like to be in. And so I feel like the end of the week there is a lot of opportunity to touch, feel, taste, hear, smell, and this could be through like a 3rd house theme. So like maybe a lot of you are hitting up like local spots, like maybe some of you are hitting up local restaurants, going to your favorite coffee shop, but this could also be having conversations with relatives, especially like relatives that you haven't seen in a while, or relatives that you're having like that are having kids, and maybe this is you like visiting nieces, nephews, or something like that. Or this could also be something about a car. Maybe you're wanting to go on like a car trip and you're making it a lot more luxurious. Just be wary of schedule snags at the end of the week, you know, like waking up late, you know, like a car issue coming up, and then, you know, like running late for work and you like commute.
This could also be something going off, like alarms not going off. This could be something about like being lazy and then you wait till the last minute and then you finally do it and then you're running late and you're like, oh, like why did I do that? I could have just gone. So Taurus is notorious for procrastinating. So I feel like as the week progresses, it may become more and more difficult to get things done. So I feel like the start of the week, it's just a time to jumpstart and make sure that you get ahead of things and that you get things done as soon as possible and line things up for yourself and stick to the script. It'll be easier to do that now that Mercury is direct and people are willing to assist you a little bit more, lend you a hand, do things for you, give you favors, especially like family members and whatnot. It makes me think like, oh, I'm leaving the house. Can you guys make sure to put my laundry in the dryer for me? And then they actually follow through with stuff like that. So I just feel like this week people will be a little bit more willing for you, but you might just find that you're a little bit, more like hectic, and because people have taken pressure off of you, you're kind of in this vibe like, oh, like they'll take care of it. I can just wait a little bit longer, but it's like, no, like people are helping you, but make sure to stay as diligent as possible because you may find that things are still like, picking up pace and Mercury's still in shadow. So it's like you're not in the clear yet, Pisces, when it comes to your work schedules, your habits, and your rituals. But this is definitely a time where you are receiving more assistance. And I also feel like there's more time being made for just stuff that you love and things that you enjoy. Let's see. For you, we have the Four of Cups. I feel like for a lot of you, this is like, oh, what should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I go to the park? Should I go to the roller rink? Should I go go-karting? Should I go to my favorite restaurant? Should I go to this spot? Should I go to that spot? That's what this makes me think of, where a lot of you might be feeling like there's a lot of decisions to be made, or it might feel like you're getting a lot of stuff done, or there's just so many different things that are being given to you. And maybe like this could be like multiple people resurfacing at one time, like maybe this is like a friend asking you a favor, and then another one's wanting to go out with you, and then another one's trying to get on the phone with you. So you might kind of just feel like your energy is being pulled in multiple different directions this week. So definitely don't be afraid to follow your intuition and follow through of what feels right, and don't try to spread yourself thin by trying to satisfy others and make sure that everyone else's cup is filled, because ultimately you don't want to drain yourself this week. Conserve your energy, value it, and do the things that you feel like will be valuable to you and will make you feel important, will make you feel good, not the people around you. Their own cup to fill is their own responsibility, not yours. Anyways, that's all I have for you, Pisces. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the horoscope resonated, and if it did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in next week's horoscope. Bye!